You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Day 2 coverage of the OHL Draft right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network and the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. My name is Brandon Caputo. You can follow me on Twitter at bcaputo_AGM, and you can follow my co-host Kyle at justkyle51. Guys, make sure you're following the podcast on Twitter at Dog Pound Podcast. You can like us on Facebook and Instagram as well for updates. And if you're enjoying the content, if you enjoyed last night's show, hit the like, hit subscribe, smash that bell. Give us some love on the YouTube side of things. And we're also available for our regularly scheduled podcasts in audio form, on demand, on whatever podcast platform you like to use best. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, again, welcome back this morning. Rounds 4 to 15 are taking place on Day 2. But to quickly recap, Kyle, as the IceDogs will be up shortly with their 4th round pick. When it does get underway there, Niagara's picking at 68th overall. Ottawa begins the day at 63. To recap, Ryan Roobroeck from the London Junior Knights went 2nd overall yesterday. Ethan Zada from the Mississauga Rebels went 5th overall with the IceDogs' 2 top 5 picks. Then Artem Frolov was their 2nd round pick as a defenseman from the Vaughan Kings. And then later on with their 3rd round pick, I was drawing a blank for a second here, Niagara was able to take Hayden Reed from the Leamington Flyers, a centerman/forward at this point. So, Kyle, thoughts on night 1 for the IceDogs in a very important draft for this regime and this organization?
Yeah, 3 forwards, 1 defenseman starting out yesterday. Man, I sound tired.
I think we all do.
It was a long night, but here bright and early the next day, here to start the rest of the draft. Again, rounds 4 to 15 today.
We'll see how many rounds we make it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see the potential. I mean, we mentioned it at the end of the show yesterday. There's some players that we taken today that could be potentially big impact players as we went over the previous drafts throughout the years, that previous, people taking the 4th to 15th round are big impact players for the organization. So today is just as important as yesterday's draft, and I'm excited for today. And then, like you mentioned, 3 forwards taken, 1 defenseman. We'll hopefully be able to get a chance to talk to some of the players today that will be here today, and we have some more guests lined up for you guys here on the show. But overall, just excited to see the rest of the draft and how it goes. We have I can say we have a lot of picks. We have like 1 extra. No, maybe the way it turns out, because we have 2 picks in the 8th, 2 picks in the 15th, and no picks in the 5th and 6th. Technically, we have the exact amount of picks
per round.
Per round. They're just happening in different rounds.
Yeah.
So
we'll hope to get some guests, our guests on in the 5th and 6th round, since we won't have a lot to talk about at that point. So hoping to get some players on, some team personnel, and also some call-in guests throughout the morning here. So I'm trying to see the IceDogs pick at 68, and I'm going through the draft board all time to see if there was a pick at number 68. Don't see one here yet, but the draft has begun. Erie and Ottawa have already picked, so it's becoming closer for the IceDogs.
So it's like in the NHL when Day 2 starts, yep. Right? They just fly off the board.
And this is another first. We had a few yesterday. This is the first time the IceDogs will have a 68th pick.
Wow.
So take that as you wish. Most recent notable 4th round picks for the IceDogs, Andrew Vermeulen. Last year was drafted in the 4th round. Obviously, he was able to crack the lineup as of last year, or this past season. Jonah DeSimone, Jake Uberti. Those guys were guys that were players, turned into OHL pros.
There's a big one coming up here, 2016.
Oliver Castleman. Yeah. That's a nice one.
A very, very notable former IceDog player. I mean, the name Kyle Langdon sticks out to me, too. I remember Kyle Langdon when he was on the team.
Johnny Hockey Corneal, 4th round pick.
Hockey Corneal.
Yep. There's a good one coming up in the 6th we can talk about after. But, yeah, I mean, so again, there's some notable players in the 4th round that were key contributors to this IceDogs roster over the years. So we can look at that. London's on the clock, and of course London takes the guy yesterday. I'm sorry. Leave it to London to take the guy that's going to the U.S. National Development Program to try to get him to commit at some point.
I saw some funny tweets yesterday.
Of course London would do something like that, but if there's one team that they could try to get somebody to commit, I guess it would be them. So
we'll see. I guess time will tell, right?
Good luck to them.
Wasn't it Fantilli was the same way when he was drafted, right? People weren't sure where he was going to play,
but the thing was that the team right in front of London took Fantilli, so that London didn't have the opportunity to take him. So might see it again here.
Was it Saginaw? Was it Saginaw took Fantilli, and then he ended up playing in the U.S.
Yeah, and I think his rights did get moved to North Bay at one point, but
something like that. Yeah.
So. Again, London's up, Sudbury, and then Niagara will pick in the 4th round here with their 68th overall selection. Kyle, we talked about the picks yesterday. I know there's a lot of, mixed feelings out there. Always going to be that as far as, what players they took. Were they the right selections at those spots? Ryan Roobroeck and Brady Martin were, hand in hand. Take your choice over those two guys. And then Ethan Zada at 5th overall. 2 forwards coming in. We talked about it a lot last night. How competitive do you think that forward group's going to be now moving forward in the training camp?
Extremely now. Even right now, if we take a forward again here at number 4, you're looking at, I mentioned it a few times yesterday, you're looking at a very, very competitive training camp coming this August into September, because that's a lot of talent coming in, top 4-round talent, to compete for a job, and especially with the highly touted with some of these forwards that we've taken in the past 24 hours, touted as could slot into the lineup tomorrow. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the camp shapes up when we get closer to it, and you look at the current forward core for the Niagara IceDogs and what goes on at camp, because camp is always the most exciting thing. I mentioned that again yesterday too. Camp is always really exciting to see who is going to come out and stick out at camp, as we saw last year.
Kevin He,
but also a returning IceDog last year showing his improved development. Andrew Wysick stuck out the most to us on the defensive end at training camp last year. So it'll be interesting to see the new players at camp, but also the returning players, and see how their development has gone over the offseason and what they bring into camp.
Absolutely, and it's going to be very competitive, and again, the depth is very much needed on this roster. So I look forward to, having it be a very competitive camp, but even after camp, making sure that you have the depth to be able to slot in the lineup when injuries do happen, because they always happen no matter, what team you are. You can't escape injuries, and you got to be able to have that organizational depth to be able to keep up, and we see the best teams in the league are able to have that. Those guys move up in the lineup, and other guys get into the lineup that, may not have started the season in that role.
Yeah, we saw that with the current roster core this year, and then we also saw the call-ups of Vermeulen and William Stewart come in and having to play those big minutes because due to injuries. So, and even Gabriel Runco in the back end. So it was nice to see that kind of depth that we had last year and them sliding in perfectly, It would have been nice for them to develop a little bit more in junior. Would not have to call them up due to injuries. But again, like you said, injuries do happen. But I think it did wonders for their career, and I can't wait to see how they develop over this offseason. These new the rookies that were there last year in Stewart, Vermeulen, and Runco into next season's camp.
Yeah, and this lineup's going to look a lot different than the one that we printed off pre-draft. So, again, trades are going to happen as well in the offseason. Maybe they pick up an OAD or an OA forward from one of these teams that's contending right now, who are going to have to ship out some overage players. For some reason, London's still on the clock. Like, are they just taking
They might
forever?
take a timeout. Maybe they take a timeout.
They're probably on the phone with William Moore trying to get him to commit. So, hang on. We got to try to talk this guy into committing first.
Yeah. Let's wait before we make any more picks.
Something London would do. Anyways, so like you mentioned today, the pick breakdown, 4th round pick, no 5th, no 6th, but they got an extra 8th and an extra 15th.
Yes. Do we have a Mr. Irrelevant That
Maybe.
they usually gets touted as the last pick in the draft. I don't think we have the last pick in the draft.
It's Ottawa.
So Ottawa has the quote unquote Mr. Irrelevant pick this year.
With the NFL draft coming up too. So the OHL draft's more important, right?
Yeah.
So the IceDogs did move that extra third that they had from Peterborough. They moved it earlier this week in a pick swap. They acquired a third-round pick in 2025 from the Sarnia Sting, and a fourth-round pick from the Saginaw Spirit in 2026.
So do we know who we traded that third-round pick to?
I think it was
it'll be interesting to see who was taken with that third round.
I think it was Sarnia.
So that'll be interesting to see.
I'm going to fact check that, but I'm 90% sure it was with the Sarnia Sting.
But again,
yep, Sarnia.
So it was Sarnia.
Yep.
Okay, so
they are. I'm looking for their pick.
So it would have been in the third round, right? So
yeah, right. Sorry, I'm looking at the fourth round. Okay, third round. So, where's Sarnia?
What did it say?
It was from Peterborough.
Okay.
Lane Sim.
Okay, so we'll have to keep a tab on Lane Sim.
Yeah. From the Weeks Majors, AAA. So that was the pick swap yesterday for the IceDogs. And if you look at it, in 2025, they'll now have 3 seconds, or sorry, 3 thirds and 3 fourths in 2026.
Draft, it's all not even draft capital, but trade capital, right?
Yep.
As Ted mentioned yesterday, stuff to think about down the line when the IceDogs need to make trades. They have that extra capital to use and that extra leverage to make these trades. So it's a good thing.
London finally picked.
Oh, okay.
They picked a left defenseman from Elgin Middlesex. So Sudbury's on the clock, and then Niagara will be up.
Ooh, so we're playing this early.
Yeah, we got to get the epic music going. We got to get us in. We got to get us up and going a little bit here.
Well, that's why I have my Tim Hortons coffee.
Oh,
start your day off with Tim Hortons.
There you go. There's a plug. Sudbury is now has now selected, so Niagara is on the clock.
Okay, so I'm going to have the screen ready to go here. You let me know when the pick is in.
Kyle, you got to get going. It's Leafs game night tonight.
Yeah, don't remind me.
And there it is, the Niagara IceDogs. All right, I'm trying to figure out how to say this guy's last name.
Oh, no.
Ivan Galyanov from the Von Kings again.
Von Kings
so
again.
Artem Frolov now has a teammate joining him in Ivan Galyanov.
All right, you love to see it.
Galyanov, I think, is the way that you say it.
And is he a forward or defenseman?
He's a left winger.
Left winger, so 4 forwards, like we said. So now it's back to what we say. It's going to be a competitive camp in the forward core now, and it'll be interesting to see how Galyanov. I don't know. I'm not. That's going to be extremely hard for me. But how that pick goes. But there you go, folks. That's your 4th round pick. Now we don't have a selection until the 7th round. I don't know how the OHL works. If there's trades that can be made during the draft. A great question to ask someone.
It would. So, Ivan Galyanov, he is actually born in Ajax.
Okay.
He's 5'7", 171 or 134 pounds. He's listed as. I'm sure he's a little bit heavier than that from the last time that they updated this. With the Von Kings this last season, 57 games played, 49 points.
Not bad.
So, as a 4th round pick, they obviously see something there and something with the Von Kings because they took Artem Frolov from that same team yesterday.
Well, yeah, our scouts doing their due diligence, obviously scouting the Von Kings, and with our second round pick yesterday with Artem Frolov, obviously saw something in this kid here in the 4th round. So, it's going to be interesting to see. Again, like I said, now looking like a very competitive camp going forward in the forward core, even in defensive core. I'm even going to say that too, because now, like, if we look at our projected lineup for next year, and now you add in Artem Frolov, and if, say, they do trade for an OA defenseman, we don't ship out a defenseman in its place, you're adding another defenseman to a competitive core group, and I think it's healthy. I think it's great to have at camp is competing for spots, right? Mm-hmm. That's, I think, what makes a team stronger when you have competition rather than players coming in knowing that they're already going to be in their spot, right? Then it's just like an extra practice to them.
No, you can't just hand guys jobs. Yeah. That doesn't work. That never goes well. And you got to make everybody earn it. As we talked to Andrew Fritsch yesterday, everybody thinks that they should be drafted higher.
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't matter what round you're taken in, you got to come in with a good attitude and be able to want to compete right away for a roster spot. So,
and now we play the waiting game.
Yeah, this is where we're going to try to get some guests on here. So I'm just going to send some texts out, Kyle, if there's something you want to just kind of talk about for a little bit.
Well, I'm looking at some other sheets here and seeing a lot of Von King players that were I'm not sure if they've been taken yet, but even where they are ranked wise. There seems to be a lot of Von King players. So this team was definitely a highly touted and highly scouted team from this year. So I am interested to see how these two players work in the organization. I'm also interested to see how they fit. It's going to be a great training camp, and it's exciting, and it's exciting for the players too, right? I know the NHL draft is one thing, but the OHL draft, getting drafted into this league is also great, right? You could play junior and not be drafted into the OHL, right? That's it's the same way from when an OHL player tries to get drafted into the NHL. So it's always a great day for players, and I'll quote the movie. You only get drafted once, technically twice OHL, but you only get drafted once into the OHL.
Exactly. And we saw Ethan Zada here last night, getting the jersey and taking pictures and things like that. I'm sure that's a great moment for that family, and even the families that have players, that have multiple siblings that have been drafted. The Johnny Schaefers to Matt Schaefers, the Dylan Roobroeck to Ryan Roobroeck. Like, just how crazy do you think that is for those families having those multiple players drafted?
I mentioned it yesterday. I was like, I wonder how the kids are growing up in hockey with a sibling. It's like it's either you have a sibling where you connect, or you're cat and dog, or you always try to one up your sibling. So it's interesting to see when you see not only Schaefer, whose brother did play in this league, not our team too, the Niagara IceDogs, but then you have now Ryan Roobroeck's pick of the IceDogs, who has a brother in the league who played for the IceDogs, but also is going to be currently playing in the league at the same time. So it's going to be interesting to see now when we do face Oshawa this year, because you have that brother versus brother storyline going forward. So I'm excited to see how that turns out too. Lots of highly touted talk behind Ryan Roobroeck. So, I'm very excited to see how this team shapes up going forward.
You want to jump in with us, Darren? All right.
Okay.
First guest of the day, starting off hot. We're going to be nice. All right. Kevin, he's going to have to wait.
Yeah.
All right. So as we get him connected here, we're going to be joined by the owner and general manager of the Niagara IceDogs, Mr. Darren DeDobbler. And Darren, thank you very much for taking the time to come on this morning. I know it's been an exciting time for your staff and your organization. And I know you're ready to really put your stamp on this team, having this first full draft. You came in a little bit late last year and didn't really get in front of a lot of players that you had wanted to. So just how excited are you now to really, with these picks that you've made yesterday and even going into today, to really, get going with the plan of what you want for this organization?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for your support. You guys have been outstanding here, and thank you for having me on the show today. We're really excited. Last year, my wife and I only bought the team on, the 7th of July, so we never really got a chance to bring, the players and their parents and the agents to this beautiful facility. And, every player, even Zada, first time he saw it yesterday, and his parents were like starstruck. They said, "Holy cow, this is NHL," which it is. So it's a big drawing point for us to get them in here. So Wes and Adam and I and all the scouts, we've worked really hard to get the players here and show them what we have and show them what we have to offer, and let them know that moving forward we're going to be a much more successful team.
Kyle, do you have any questions for Darren as far as, the draft picks from yesterday and just the, how how this whole process is going?
Taking Artem Frolov with the second pick yesterday, being from the Vaughan Kings. Now we just seen the 4th-round pick from the Vaughan Kings as well. I'm assuming we had our scouts doing their work and doing their due diligence with the Vaughan Kings. What do you see in both those players? Not only Artem Frolov, but now our 4th-round pick from the Vaughan Kings.
So Frolov is, like Darryl Woodley from Central Scouting said when they announced the pick yesterday, he is, next to Schaefer, he's the most ready D in the league and to play. And in the draft, to play. So, with only 12 wins last year, we need players that can play today. We can't wait right now. So, he was a player we really targeted. He's mature. He's a good puck mover. He's a big body. He's somebody that we know can step into our lineup immediately.
And Darren DeDobbler, owner of the IceDogs, joins us. Darren, when you look at the first couple of picks there, Ryan Roobroeck, his brother was drafted as an IceDog. He was battling with Michael Misa last year for the exceptional status, didn't get it, and then this year going into his actual draft year. Just what did you guys really see out of him that you wanted to select him second overall, and what did you really think that he's going to bring to this organization, right away going into training camp?
Robert's he's an elite player. He's got a really high ceiling. He's a 3-year player. He's a late birth. We've liked him all along. He's been the consensus number 1 for the last 3 years. Schaefer really exploded this year. But to me, it was still a toss-up between Roobroeck and Schaefer. So we've liked Roobroeck all along. He scored over 100 goals this year, including exhibition, playoff, 3 in the Junior B League. His ceiling is outstanding. If we can get a good puck transporter, somebody to move the puck for him, he will put it in the net. His ceiling is amazingly high, and we're really excited to have him.
And you're going to have a lot of options this offseason, whether that be with trades, acquiring overage players from some of these contending teams that are going to have an abundance of overage players, whether that be, other moves and things like that. Just how excited are you about, the roster that you're going to assemble for the fall in the training camp? Like, just how much are you looking forward to adding depth to this team and making sure that they're competitive next year to make that playoff run?
We're really excited about that. And again, it's a process. We've been working for 12 months for this year's roster, and we're starting to work on the following year roster. So, again, we know what we need. And, we still have a lot of good pieces. And if they take the next step, Kevin, Michaud, all those guys, if they take the next step, Lavoie, there's just a lot of talent there. We had 4 20-goal scorers last year. Augustinelli, he would have been a 20-goal scorer if he would have been with us the whole season, would have had more opportunity. So we're really excited. Our goalie got put on the draft list, the NHL draft list, Flo, got put on the draft list, so we're excited about that. So we have a lot of pieces. We just, it's a great league, and everybody's good, so we just need to improve on what we've got.
Darren DeDobbler's with us. Darren, a few more questions for you. First off, how much did you enjoy the process of going through the Memorial Cup bid, and with Saginaw winning it? Just how much more, of a heads up, and sort of, I guess you can say it's the early morning. I'm drawing blanks on words right now, but
Me too.
Just how much do you think that going through that process will help you the next time that it does come back to Ontario, and hoping to bid again in 2027? Just, thoughts on that whole process and what you've learned from it for the next time.
I thought it was great. My team around me was outstanding. Walter, Megan, everyone was just great. Doug Hamilton. We had a follow-up call about a week after the announcement with the CHL, and we asked them what we did wrong, what we did that we didn't get the bid. And they just thought everything was spectacular. We had a couple of minor deficiencies that are very easy fixes moving forward, and I guarantee it right now as the words are coming out of my mouth, we are applying again when it comes around in 3 years. and we are very, very hopeful, very excited that we will get it. They basically told us not what we did wrong. They said all 4 bids were actually outstanding, the 4 best bids they've seen in a long time, and it was a tough decision. So they told us what we did wrong, and if we get the support of the community, the region, the city, and I have my same team again, we're pretty confident we'll get it next time.
And last question, just how exciting has it been for you to have this, your whole scouting staff, your coaching staff, everybody here, culminating for the OHL draft, and just being able to bring everybody together after they've worked so hard all year, making sure that, that this draft is going to be a successful one for the IceDogs, being so important with the 2 top 5 picks, and making sure that the players you're bringing in are the right players, not only on the ice but off the ice, for the culture that you guys are trying to build. Just how important has that been?
You know what? That's awesome you said that, because that's something we worked really hard on. Wes was calling guidance counselors. I was calling their off-ice trainers. We were calling teammates. Adam was calling teammates of players. And we were, you can swing and miss a lot too, but we've really done our homework. We didn't just pick the most talented player on the ice. We picked somebody that we thought would fill into our role. And with, our captain, Cato, and, he had a big influence too on what we're doing and how we're trying to rebuild the culture and the brand here. So we're really excited. And, the support of you guys, the support of the Standard, the radio station, just everybody has just been outstanding. And it's been, 8 months since Michelle and I bought this team, and I'm still starstruck. I can't believe I'm here, and I can't believe the support I'm getting from everybody.
Owner GM Darren DeDobbler, I know I speak for Kyle and myself when I say that we really appreciate you taking the time to come on. We've enjoyed having you on during the season, and we look forward to what's to come as this team continues to really build back up the standings and have that team that the Niagara region can get behind for those deep playoff runs again. So thank you very much for taking the time out of the draft room, and I know it's an exciting time for your group.
Once again, I appreciate it, guys, and thanks for the support.
Thanks, Darren. That's owner GM Darren DeDobbler joining us on the call. So we've got Kevin He coming on very shortly. So we're good to go, Darren.
Yeah.
We got Roobroeck, Frolov, and Ethan's coming back again at around 11 o'clock.
Perfect.
And our 4th rounder, we've invited him in. I don't know if he's coming.
Told him to come before 2. So.
Okay.
Perfect.
And our 3rd rounder, he's in Leamington.
Okay. So we might have some other guests this morning.
He's not
So
coming, but they got a playoff game tomorrow. Then the Hamilton Kelty Bees, the winner goes to the finals against Silver.
Ah, okay.
perfect.
It's down to a 1-gamer for them. The winner goes to play Stratford.
Perfect. Thank you, Darren. There was owner GM Darren DeDobbler. Kyle, before we get Kevin He on, just thoughts on from the owner's mouth and general manager about bringing in these impact players to this organization.
I'm just excited because we've done our due diligence with picking this year, and there's a lot of trust with who we've picked this year too, which is a great sign to see. And that a lot it's a lot to get excited about. It's a lot to get excited about, even with our 2nd overall pick, Ryan Roobroeck, who is, as Darren said, like he if you total up his exhibition, his playoff play and everything, he's totaled over 100 goals this year. That's a pure goal scorer if I've ever seen one, and one that's going to slot into this lineup and look extremely well in that forward core, and just gets you so excited to see the potential of being a high scorer and potential of being a high scoring team next year. Yeah, he mentioned we had a lot of 20-goal scorers. Now you just talk about and think about these 20-goal scorers. If they develop into another level, you're looking at potentially a lot of maybe 30 to 40 goal scorers, and to have that many on your team, you're shaping up to be a very strong contending team even next year. So it's something to be excited for, and it's great that Darren came on the show, and he just makes that excitement level just go up times 10.
Right. So we're going to try to connect Kevin He. So let's see if we can get him on the call.
Great guy, Kevin He, I heard. The star of our.
Hey.
There he is. So we're joined on the line right now by IceDogs standout rookie Kevin He. Kevin, thanks a lot for coming on this morning. I know it's an early morning, early morning for all of us, but being the draft, first question, you were drafted last year, obviously. Just what was that moment like for you when you finally got the call that you were coming to Niagara, and just the lead up to that, just the lead up of the whole draft experience, just looking back on it now, how was that whole process for you?
Yeah, it was amazing. I think on draft night, I got to celebrate with all my family. My family was watching there, and I was calling a few of my buddies too that was going into the draft as well, and just wishing them the best of luck. And it's definitely a surreal moment when you get that call from the GM, and they're congratulating you on getting drafted.
And was there anybody in this year's draft that has gone so far that maybe you've played with, or that friend of yours, or anybody that you were really looking forward to seeing them drafted?
Right, I got a couple guys. I think our second round pick, Frolov. I was skating with him last night actually as he got drafted.
No way.
So I was skating with him, and we had the computer set up, and everyone was watching the draft. And when he got drafted, I was right there with him.
That's incredible.
Right. And then I think this morning we took Ivan Galyanov.
Yep.
He goes to my school, so I skate with him every morning as well. So I'll see him next week in the morning. I'll congratulate him in person as well. So yeah, I know quite a few guys in the 07 loops. I have a brother, and he's been playing with those guys, and I know quite a few of the 07s for sure.
IceDogs rookie Kevin He joins us on the line.
Kev, sounding chipper as I am this morning. How much did you set your alarm to be on the show tonight, or to this morning? See, I'm not even awake.
Honestly, I get up pretty early, so I didn't really have to set an alarm. So,
Don't lie. We know you set your alarm to be on our show. It's all right. But Kev, after having an impressive rookie season last year, what are you most excited about going into next year, and what do you look to improve on with your game going into next year?
Right. I think my physicality. I think that physical part of the game. I think I know I have the skill set, and I have a good foundation. But I think towards the summer, I've been working on getting faster, getting stronger, and really knowing the game in all areas and improving my overall strength in this game for sure.
And Kev, just you're already mature. You're a mature young man already, and I know you've already tried to take a step in a leadership role already as a first-year player. But
right,
how are you planning on reaching out to? I mean, I know you were skating with Frolov last night as he was drafted, but are you planning on reaching out to the draftees either from last night or today, and just welcoming them to the whole process? And you being a rookie last year, you're fresh, knowing what that situation was like as a rookie coming in, and just how much are you going to offer up your advice and support to those guys?
Right. I think I tried calling most of our guys that got drafted. If they couldn't call, I sent them a text, congratulating them and letting them know this is my number if they have any questions and things they want to ask. I'm always here to help, and they have my number for sure.
I got to bring up something here, Kev, because Landon Cato called you out on our show a couple weeks back when we had him on about when you asked him his favorite Kevin He moment, and he had to expose you and bring up the whole on ice or the training day fiasco where you had a big lunch and you ended up not feeling so good after that, after you ate and then did the training and got the pretty boy treatment the rest of the day. So do you want to respond to anything that Captain Cato said about that situation, and do you want to clear anything up?
Not really. I don't have Captain Cato. I'll just leave it at that. That was a pretty funny moment for sure. Though.
Yeah, that was one of those rookie growing pains for sure.
Hey, you get to be the star of our off-ice stuff, so it's all right. It makes up for it.
Yeah. The whole answering questions twice thing, Captain Cato said, maybe you got to come up with another gimmick next year, but it's been fun, and you'll come up with something.
Mic me up next year.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do the mic'd up stuff for sure. We'll get Kevin He mic'd up, and we still got to talk to you in the summer as well. But
right.
Just as you saw this team grow near the end of the season and guys take a step in development, just what was it about Coach K, Coach Coolbar's system, and the other assistant coaches that when things weren't going well and you weren't winning games, that you guys still had a positive mindset and are trusting the process of what's to come here as you guys, want to build back up, and understanding that there's a long-term goal and a long-term plan with this team?
Right, I think you mentioned the word trust, and that's a big thing for sure. I think just believing in the coaches, believing in the staff, and there's obviously a lot of noise, a lot of talk going outside the organization, but there's the things that we can control, and we have the team and we have the teammates, and everyone's just really sticking together, and like you said before, trusting the process, and that's a huge part moving into this off season and for next year.
Kyle, I'll let you have the last question for Kev today.
Last question for Kev. I'm honored. Kev, we're going into next year's training camp. I mentioned it earlier in the show and even last night. It's looking to be a very competitive camp, not only in the forward side but the defensive side. You got to experience your first training camp last year. What excites you the most about this coming training camp, and with the new crop of rookies coming in, that's got to get you excited for the potential of this team now being and have the tools in place to be one competitive team next year?
100%. I think, one thing that excites me most is getting, to see everyone coming back and see what they've done in the off season, and knowing that we have, new rookies, new guys are going to push us, and we got to be able to maintain ourselves, like the high standard we set for ourselves. And just know, these newcomers, these rookies are going to be very hungry as well, and that's the mentality I had last year coming into rookie camp as well. So they're going to be pushing us, and we got to be ready for that.
IceDogs standout rookie Kevin He tied Akil Thomas's rookie record as far as a 16-year-old with 21 goals. I'm sure you're going to be building off of that next year, and we know how high Director of Scouting Adam Henrich is on you as well. So high praise from everybody here in Niagara as well for you, Kev. Congratulations on a great rookie season, and keep training, and we'll hope to see you again. We'll do that Kevin He summer update that you wanted to do. We'll do something with you, but enjoy what the summer has to offer for you.
Perfect. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, Kev. That's IceDogs star rookie Kevin He. Kyle, just what an unbelievable young man for a 16-year-old to have his mindset, the head on his shoulders, and just his outlook on things already mature beyond his years.
He talks like he's already in the show. Like, he's got that maturity level of an NHL player playing right now, and that is, I think, a very key part and a really cool thing to see for even a 16-year-old. Man, he was in his first year in the OHL last year, and he's talked like he's been here. Like, he's got that maturity level of being here for 4 years. So it's going to be great to see how he develops over the offseason. Like, as you heard there, we're gonna do a special segment with him, but it's gonna be great to see how he develops into going into his second year and developing into more of a star than he already is. And we know he's got the fan base behind him. We'll see how he develops going forward with his play, because you heard there first on the call with him that he wants to really work on his physical game. Being a key part of his game going into next year's season. He knows he's got the skill set, but he wants to work on being an all-around player in every sense of the game. So that's good to hear from Kev, and it was good to hear from him again.
Absolutely. So we got another guest coming on in about 10 minutes. It's Austin Broad of FC Hockey, friend of the show. So Austin's going to come on and just talk about some of those early picks from yesterday for the
No
IceDogs.
Sabres talk, though. So
yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up, but now that you said it, maybe I got it now.
Well, maybe you guys can talk about how you're not getting Bedard.
Okay. Anyways,
what can you move out? 10 spots? Was it what? I'm sure you've looked.
You can get up to number 3
for you guys. You get up to number 3, so potentially Carlson or Michkov, maybe.
Yeah.
So that'd be great for you guys.
Don't need any more prospects. We're good to go. I've been worrying about this draft lottery for the last 12 years as a Sabres fan, but I don't want to get in on a rant with that. We're here for the IceDogs draft.
Exactly.
But speaking of, I even lost track of where we are in the draft because we had
we don't have a pick. It's all right.
Yeah, we had the fourth round's already done. So
wow,
we're in third pick of the third round already. Or sorry, third pick of the fifth round. Sioux Greyhounds are on the clock, but we had great guests there back to back. Owner GM Darren DeDobbler and rookie Kevin He. Just I'm already excited for next season, and we're still 5 months away.
Yeah, it's right. It's this is the tough part, right? Because after the draft, you get so excited, but it's like, damn, we gotta wait a couple months. We gotta wait an entire summer before we're back here talking about the training camp and getting into the new season. So it's a long wait, but it's always nice to enjoy yourself too and get away from the rink and live your life a little bit, right? It's not 24/7 here at the rink, but other than that, I think, I don't know. Should we do a commercial break or?
I think Austin's going to call us here shortly. So
You said 10 minutes. That's the quickest 10 minutes I've ever seen.
That was while we were on the phone with Kev.
Oh, okay.
So
after him then.
Yeah, after Austin, we'll take a break. When we get to the hour mark,
I gotta stretch my legs, man. My legs are still thinking I'm in bed.
We're not at the hour mark yet. We'll take a break at the hour mark. The IceDogs will have a 6th round pick coming up. That will be. I'm looking for it right now. Where is it?
Are you sure they have a 6th round pick?
Oh no, they don't.
Yeah.
Never mind.
There's no 5th or 6th. We're not picking until the 7th.
I got confused. I thought they didn't pick in the 4th. Okay, so they start the 7th round.
Okay, so there we go.
So we'll have plenty of time to fill the spot.
Yeah.
With
gotta fill that spot
with our guests here. I'm just going through the draft list as we wait for Austin to call us here. I'm looking to see if there was anybody notable that I saw that was taken here in the 4th round. Andrew McNeil, he's the captain of the Peterborough Petes. Talked to him at the draft at the OHL Combine. He was drafted 70th by Kitchener. So
oh wow,
good for him. It was that story that Kevin He told us was crazy about the fact that he was on the ice skating with Artem Frolov.
What are the chances? Like that's one of the coolest things I've heard in the last couple of days. But
Aaron Enright just went to North Bay, the brother of former IceDogs 1st round pick Isaac Enright. So Aaron Enright goes.
I didn't even know he had a brother.
Plays for the Renfrew Wolves. So he went 81st to North Bay Battalion.
Yeah, Ivan Galyanov. I'm gonna say that's how we say it. That's how I'm portraying saying that name. But yeah. What's also cool in this draft too, I mean, it's not really IceDog related, but it's dog related, is the Brantford Bulldogs now like officially picking as the Brantford Bulldogs, and them going into their next year in a whole different city. It's going to be an updated facility. And guys, we understand $7 million being put into that facility in Brantford, and I mean, I'd say that the QEW rivalry is still alive. You still need to get on some sort of highway to get to Brantford, so I guess that's still a QEW rivalry.
Yeah, our buddies at the Hammertown podcast were there this morning at the draft taking pictures of the guys as they come in. So I think Colin even did like a walk-up video of himself. So
of himself, okay.
But are they drafting in Hamilton still?
I don't know.
I think that they are. I think they're still in Hamilton for the time being, and they're going to take off to Brantford shortly. But big day for the Brantford Bulldogs, and I know you don't really like their shoulder patch logo because it reminds you too much of the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, that's why. It's just I don't know. I can't tell if it's a bear claw or a dog paw. I think it's a bear claw, but that's a story for another day.
Should have the draftees coming in at some point this morning. Darren DeDobbler said that they would be coming in at some point. Again, we're gonna have Austin Broad on the call from FC Hockey. Then we're gonna take a short break, and then hopefully we'll have more guests on because we're gonna be waiting a while for the IceDogs to pick again in the 7th round.
Yeah.
Then again,
I mean, it's not like we didn't know this was happening.
No, that's why you have guests.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just an exciting time. Like I really was highly on Roobroeck all year, even in the beginning of the year when when a first overall pick wasn't even a thought with the IceDogs. Just hearing all the talk around Ryan Roobroeck, and obviously me paying attention to them because we had Dylan Roobroeck. It was it's good to see that we got an exceptional goal scorer out of the draft for this year with our number 2 pick. Obviously, we were the consensus, going to get the number 1 overall pick, but the draft lottery wasn't in our favor, obviously. But hey, we still fell at only number 2, and we still got basically almost a franchise player for this organization. So I'm I'm excited. I'm really excited. Even Zada, excited to see what he brings to the table. Lots of high praise with Zada, especially in the face-off department, which is it's a very key thing, right?
Yep.
If you have a guy that can win you those face-offs when you need them, if Zada's that guy, perfect. That is a guy you need. And you think about players in the NHL that are like that are key face-off guys. I will bring them up. I'll bring up my Toronto Maple Leafs. Who do they rely on the most for key face-offs? John Tavares, right? Doesn't matter if he just came off a shift. If they have a defensive zone end, they're going to throw Tavares out there. If they need a defensive zone face-off, they throw him out there because he is that good at face-offs. If Zada can be that guy to be that face-off guy for us, I mean,
Yeah.
what more can you ask for, right?
Yeah, you need guys at this level that are willing to play 200-foot game, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought you were going to say Ryan O'Reilly, to be honest, just to troll.
I know we just traded for him, but they've been using us for. It's weird. I know I'm going off topic here. They've been using him as center, but seeing Tavares go into a wing spot is literally like the most like mind confusing thing I've ever seen. Just looking at it on the ice confused the hell out of you because you're so used to his whole career he's been a center, but watching him on the wing, it's like, whoa.
Yeah,
it's strange, but for us, it's nothing normal in the OHL because centers are playing wing all the time. But watching it in the NHL is something else. But I'm excited to see what Zada brings to the table. He was we met him briefly yesterday. We met his parents. Really nice gentleman. And I'm excited to see what he brings to the table and what we see out of him out of camp too. And he's also going to have that offseason to develop as well, right? And we'll see how he slots into the lineup, and especially, like I said, training camp.
seeing if we can connect to our guest here.
Ooh.
And more guests lined up again throughout the morning here. You don't want to hear us just talk about these picks that, we don't really...
It'd be great for like a radio station where we can play music. You know what I mean? Like just like actual copyright free music where it's like
This is where I need more commercials.
Yeah.
Those are coming. I'm looking at some of these names, some of these teams.
Any Von King players?
There's one from the Pittsburgh Penguins Elite, Kingston.
Wow.
So there's an American right there.
Is the last name Dervin?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah, he's got it on the sheet here in front of me. He's projected top 45 talent, so he's pretty good pick there.
Yeah, he goes 86th.
Wow.
To Kingston.
6'1", 175 pounds, good size player. That's cool.
Another American from the Chicago Mission, Bjorn Bronis. What a name, from the Sudbury Wolves.
From the Chicago Mission?
Yeah.
Interesting. It's the first
Bjorn
time I've heard that.
Bronis. That's a heck of a name right there.
Yeah, I know that the names are always something too. When you see coming into the OHL, like I see like Chase Del Colombo and Mason Goodfellow. Like
those guys were at the Combine. Those were great.
Oh, you saw them at the Combine?
Yeah. And we're going to give our next guest a call here.
All right. No. Don't call Kevin back.
No, I'm not calling Kev.
All right.
Sorry, I can't come to the phone right now.
Oh, he hung up on you. Wow. Wow. Live on air, Austin Broad hung up on you.
Oh.
Did he try calling you?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, man. You guys are like in sync. You guys are calling.
All good?
Yep, there we go. We're joined now by Austin Broad of FC Hockey.
You guys are in sync, Austin. You tried calling him, and he tried calling you at the same exact time. Look at that. Must be that Sabres connection.
Oh, it definitely
Yeah.
is. Absolutely. So, Austin, before we get going with some questions for you, just plug the great work you're doing over at FC Hockey and where people can find your work.
Yeah, so follow, SC Hockey on Twitter. Follow myself at Austin_Broad on Twitter. Obviously, we're getting our final rankings put together now, doing some last-minute stuff there with the U18 starting now. We know for people who follow the NHL draft that the U18 kind of sets the tone for some of the higher picks there, so pretty crucial down the crunch there. And follow if you're a Sabres fan, or if you're just an NHL draft fan, make sure you follow the Charging Buffalo because we do a ton of draft stuff, Sabre specific, but a lot of general draft stuff there as well. So make sure you're following those, and you can see all the work that I'll be doing.
I appreciate the work at the Charging Buffalo. I don't know if Kyle necessarily would, but there's no Charging Maple Leafs, unfortunately, for him. But
Darn.
Yeah, but Kyle doesn't really have to worry about the draft because the Leafs trade all their picks.
Yeah, well, true. Like, we have a first-round pick this year, but I guarantee you that'll be a third-round pick by the time we get to the draft.
yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of draft, Austin, a couple of those top names yesterday that went for the IceDogs: Ryan Roobroeck, second overall; Ethan Zada at fifth overall. Thoughts on taking the two forwards with those two picks, and then getting the defenseman in Artem Frolov in the second round?
Yeah, so I'll start off by saying we always talk about how the NHL draft is kind of a luck of the draw, even more so with the OHL or any of the junior leagues, because these kids are so young and you're trying to project. I think you and I talked earlier in the day, before the draft was even made, that if Niagara did go the Roobroeck way, which I know there was some rumors coming out the day before once the Schaefer pick was announced, that that's kind of where Niagara was heading. I thought that was a really good pick for them. I mean, we know he's not quite as big as his brother, who Niagara did have, but he's a big offensive center. He's skilled. He's great with the puck on his stick in the offensive zone. He's got a lethal shot. So that Niagara was a little bit – they didn't really have an exact direction at the start of the year when the new ownership came in, but now they kind of know where they're going. They're setting the foundation now. This was a huge day for them to kind of get some foundational pieces. I love the Roobroeck selection. You know, there's always a debate on who's going to go where, who's the second, who's the third consensus guy with these kids. But I think there was really no wrong choice for the IceDogs, and taking Roobroeck was a very, very good selection for them. Obviously, there's no such thing as a perfect prospect. We know that. So there's obviously going to be some detractors there. But I really like the Roobroeck selection. The Zada pick, I know there was rumors that that's the route they were going, but it was still a little bit of a surprise to me. But again, when you're taking two offensively talented centers that you can hopefully build around for the next, 3-4 years, especially with Roobroeck being a later birthday, they know they're going to have him for 3 years guaranteed. Really nice job by the IceDogs with those two picks there. Artem Frolov, a Russian guy who came over and played in Canada for his AAA hockey. Don't really know what to expect with him, but I like his size. I like his ability to skate, move the puck around. He's got some good offensive numbers there as well. We do know that Niagara needs help on the back end. That was kind of probably one of their glaring issues throughout the season. So drafting a defenseman in the second round, I think, is a really good selection, especially if the value met their board there.
Yeah, with Matt Schaefer going first overall to Erie, I think that really just made it easier for the IceDogs to have to, choose Ryan Roobroeck. If Schaefer wouldn't have been taken, do you think that there would have been much of a debate, or do you think that Ryan Roobroeck, being a guy that was almost granted exceptional status last year before Michael Misa was able to get it, do you think that he might have been number one on some boards even ahead of Schaefer?
I think there could have been an argument there, but I think talking to most people, Schaefer was probably the easy route for the number one overall pick. So I think if Schaefer was there, it might not have been as easy as a slam dunk as people think. I know DeDobbler said Ryan Roobroeck was his consensus number one overall, which leads me to think that if Roobroeck and Schaefer were there is a pretty good shot that Roobroeck was still the pick. But I guess we don't have to worry about that. In his mind, they got their guy, and I think he can easily be, maybe not right away, but I think he can be a number one center for the IceDogs to build around, pair with, Kevin Heath, their talented scoring winger there. They have the makings of a really solid foundation in place after those three picks.
Austin Broad joins us on the line from FC Hockey. Austin, when you look at day two and you're looking for value in rounds 4 to 15, if you're, looking at it and some of those prospects that you might have seen and written about there at FC Hockey, just, what is it about those mid to late round picks that you're really looking for as far as tangibles to really develop them into OHL players one day?
So in mid to late round picks in any draft, but particularly the OHL draft, again, these kids are so young. It's so hard to project this, but you got to be looking for guys that not only have the intangibles there, but to me, the most important thing is the skating ability. The skating ability is so crucial to go from AAA to junior hockey, and the skating level makes a difference when whether your ceiling is OHL, CHL, whatever you want to call it, junior A or junior B. If you have good skating ability, I think coaches, especially in the OHL, they're so talented, they can kind of work with everything else. If the skating ability is there, you have a really good shot at turning into a solid player because you've already been around some of the best coaching you've ever been around, but that is even more so the case in the OHL. So I know whether people talk about whether or not skating is a big knock or whether it's something that can be fixed. Skating can be fixed, but it's a lot easier to work on the other skills than it is on completely redoing someone's skating ability. So if you have good skating ability, I don't care what your size is, because these kids are so young, they're going to grow, they're going to put on weight. The size doesn't really matter. To me, if you can skate, you have a good shot at getting drafted in the OHL. And finding that value that meets your board. I mean, we all know in the pro draft, it's best player available. It doesn't matter what position you need. I think you should probably still follow that method with the OHL, but you can kind of tweak it a little bit there, where if you are bad, if your depth on the back end isn't that good, you can probably reach for a guy who's a defenseman compared to a forward if you don't need forwards in the immediate future. Because in the OHL, you only have, let's say, a 3 to 4 year window where you compete before you're going to have to start it all over again. It's just the nature of the league when you can only have guys from 16 to 20 years old.
Yeah, and to kind of elaborate on that, Austin, I mentioned it earlier in the show. Players taken in the later rounds in the OHL draft, it's either hit or miss sometimes. We look at the IceDogs past drafts after the 4th round. Some players have gone on in this organization to be key players, even traded to other organizations to be top players. Names like Tucker Tynan, like just the goalies I say right now, Tucker Tynan, Josh Rosenzweig, to name a few. What is the importance of the later rounds in the OHL compared to as the NHL, or is there not a difference at all?
Oh, there's a difference. I think there's some similarities where in the later rounds, you're looking for those depth pieces in the future. You're not necessarily, you hope a guy turns into a star, but you're looking for quality depth pieces in both junior and the professional level. Let's face it, you have the stars, that's a good thing. But if you have the stars with no depth, you're not going anywhere. So trying to find a potential depth piece in the later rounds, if you hit on those picks, you don't have to go spend assets elsewhere, whether it's trading for a depth player or anything like that. If you can hit on those late picks and get quality OHL players, you're setting yourself up for a really successful future where you can use those high, like when you're going for a Memorial Cup, you can use those higher draft picks to get a star player rather than trying to scramble for these depth guys, because we see it. We know when Niagara went out and made big trades in the past and got guys like Jason Robertson and things like that. They thought they were going for it. They had good success, but the depth didn't quite match up to their opponents in those years. That's where those late round picks are huge. If you hit on those, you're setting yourself up because the foundation was already in place. It was just that depth there. So if you hit on a guy in the 10th round and he turns into an OHL player, you're laughing because that's basically a bonus.
Austin Broad from FC Hockey. Last quick one for you, Austin. You look at the depth of this team from this last year, and obviously it was tested at more times than not this season. They weren't able to overcome some of the injuries on defense. They're losing 3 overagers as well on the defensive side of things. And then even up front, some games they only had, 10 to 11 forwards. They weren't able to have those 4 full lines up front. Just how important is it to add the depth to this organization, with the 2 top 5 picks coming in, Artem Frolov? Just how much do you think that is a point of emphasis to have this team be, competitive next season, to make sure that depth starts from the back end out, and that they make sure that they have, that organizational depth, those extra forwards, those 7-8 defensemen that are going to be able to come in the lineup and produce and be able to, help this team despite maybe having some injuries during the season?
Yeah, so any team kind of struggles to overcome injuries there. I think Niagara was a little bit behind the 8 ball because they had so many injuries, plus so much roster turnover. It was probably hard for everything to gel. But I think some of the forwards really stepped up. Declan Waddick really turned into something that I didn't really expect him to be, which is awesome. Having him for at least another year will be crucial for Niagara. Adding these young kids into an already, let's face it, offense wasn't probably Niagara's issue last year. Kevin Key played awesome. They had a bunch of 20 goal scorers, which might have been maybe a little bit unexpected. So adding a guy like Roobroeck and Zada early on in there into an already pretty solid forward group is going to be a big deal. And then just like you said, they're losing that 3 OAs on the back end, but you added a defenseman in the second round who can hopefully play. Bronson Ride took a lot of strides at the end of last year after the trade. Hopefully he can keep making strides and become a staple on that back end there. It's just, you basically just have to hope you stay healthy, because no team is built to withstand the injury that Niagara kind of dealt with last year. Adding depth will be huge. Let's face it, we know this GM is going to be extremely active. Maybe not as active now because he's already done the OHL for a year. He kind of knows what it's all about. Looks like he knows which direction he wants to do this, build for the future while being competitive now. So I think Niagara's on the right path. The good news is the OHL is such a random league, and only 2 teams in each conference don't make the playoffs. you can tell me Niagara would slide into, 6, 7, 8 seed. I wouldn't be surprised at all because of the talent that they've been able to add into the draft. And there's still a lot of off-season left. So, I think they started out really well. Let's face it, no draft is a home run. Everyone's going to find something to complain about. I think they've done a really good job so far through their first couple picks. And it looks like that there's a ton of draft left, and kind of hard to judge it right now. But so far, pretty pleased with their start. And I do think that there's going to be more additions made. I think that fans, I know it was a tough year, but I think you should probably start being a little bit optimistic here because there is a chance that Ryan Roobroeck becomes the number 1 center in the OHL, and that's pretty dang exciting because the face of Niagara didn't have that.
Great final thoughts there from Austin Broad of FC Hockey and the Charging Buffalo. Austin, thanks so much for taking the time this morning. I know you got a busy morning coming up, so go get ready to go. And I know it's an exciting time with the NHL draft coming up as well. So best of luck with everything that you're doing over at the FC Hockey and the Charging Buffalo.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Always good talking to you guys.
Thanks, Austin. Go Sabres.
Go Sabres.
There was Austin Broad from FC Hockey. Kyle, before we hit the break, just take away from what Austin said there.
First of all, go Leafs. Second of all, a lot of good insight from Austin there when it comes to, talking about these kids. And, you know what? I liked what he said at the end there. I think it's time for the fans here to get more optimistic and more excited, just as we're excited for this team going forward. Ryan Roobroeck has the potential star power and to be the number 1 center in the OHL. The IceDogs really never had that top player in the whole entire league this year. You're thinking about it too going into next year. A lot of those star players are they're going to be gone this year. Guys like the Shane Wrights and a lot of the drafted players, they're going to be gone next year. So he has that potential to steal that number 1 center role in the whole OHL. And we just took him at number 2. Something to get excited for. Zada to get excited for. Like I mentioned before, Austin on the call, a guy that's going to win you those draws, a guy that's going to be a crucial centerman going forward. And then even Artem Frolov as a defenseman to help that back end who, as we mentioned, lost 3 OA players, but has a chance to fill into that gap and then whatever happens throughout the offseason with this team. So a lot of great insight there from Austin, an OHL scout, and he really knows what he's talking about when it comes to the picks that we've made here so far.
Absolutely. So, guys, we're going to hit a break so I can stretch.
Your voice needs a break.
It does. And we're going to have another guest coming on after the break. Captain Landon Cato is going to join us. So stay right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs.
Experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports and esports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive's game concept revolves around player props, which are simple over-unders on player stats. There are contests for traditional sports including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and cricket, as well as esports titles including CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and more coming soon. Here's how to play. Choose your lineup of over-unders for top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Each prop has a fantasy point total based on how likely it is to hit. The more points a selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. Thrive is awarded over $2 million in cash, so come and prop up today.
Welcome back to our OHL Draft live stream right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network and the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. We're here on day 2 of the OHL Priority Selection Draft. The IceDogs are picking in the 7th round, still a couple of picks away. No 5th and no 6th round picks, so we've been filling the time with special guests, and we're joined on the line right now by another special guest. We've got the captain of the Niagara IceDogs, Landon Cato, joins us. Landon, thanks a lot for coming back on again. First question, how are you feeling? I know you just had surgery a little while back, and how's the recovery process going?
Thanks for having me again. Hope everyone's doing well. It's doing good, actually. I got surgery on my right shoulder last week, Thursday. I know it was a bit in the dark most of the season, but I did get surgery on my right shoulder about a week ago Thursday, and I'm recovering really well after, a lot faster than I thought. A lot of the pain's gone away now. I'm getting a bit more mobile in my shoulder, and just really happy that I got everything done, and I can look on forward to the new season and the exciting draft picks that we have, and look forward to playing with them on the same ice at the Meridian Centre.
Landon, when you talk about those draft picks and draft day, draft weekend, can you remember back to when you were drafted for the IceDogs and what that moment was like for you and your family, and just, when this week happens every year, do you kind of look back and reflect on your time, being drafted when you did as a 3rd round pick, 46th overall back in 2019?
It's a great question because I can remember it like it was yesterday, actually. I had my whole family, and we were in my living room, and this was during we were all in my living room, and this was during the day. They did it a bit different during my draft. Like I was up at like 11 o'clock. I think I was drafted by at least 12 or 1 o'clock. So mine was a bit easier than most of these kids. Seems pretty tough to wait for the whole first round until 7 o'clock. So I don't know if I'd be able to do that. My anxiety and nerves would be running. So, I can remember the day clearly. It was probably the best day of my life. Seeing my mom and dad just cheer and go crazy for me getting drafted, and then seeing yourself work for something your whole life, and then it finally comes to fruition is one of the best feelings in the world. And that's kind of one of the main points that I kind of told these guys that got drafted when I reached out to them, is just enjoy every moment. I know in some of my other podcasts I've talked about that, but like growing up and being in now my 5th year in the league, like you really see that time flies by. So just be able to embrace every single second of that day and enjoy every single second of the draft. Even though it is nerve-wracking and it's a bit hard to sit through sometimes, it's always awesome when you do hear your name go up, and it is a well-earned accomplishment and something that these kids should be very proud of, and something that not many kids in this world get to experience. So it is a very, very, very great thing to be hearing your name on that screen or seeing your name on that screen.
IceDogs captain Landon Cato joins us on the line.
Cato, IceDogs taking a defenseman with their 2nd round pick in Artem Frolov. What have you heard about Artem Frolov? Have you reached out to him at all after being drafted? And, we just heard from Kevin Heath that he was on the ice with Artem while he was being drafted. What excites you about him and his play, bringing that to this defensive core, and you being obviously the captain of this team, but also an overage veteran now for this defensive core of the team?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think we secured our 2 forwards early in the draft. I think that was big, and then seeing Artem go on the board, it was pretty great. This is a kid that Kev talks about a lot. And then, funny story, he did actually, right before the kid got drafted, or right when he got drafted, Kevin sent a picture of him, and guys were kind of confused, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm on the ice with the kid. So it was pretty cool. Somehow the kid answered me while he was supposed to be on the ice, so that's even better. And I reached out to him. He seemed very excited to come in. I've heard a lot of good things about Artem. He's a great skater, great puck mover. I hear a lot of great things about him, so I am very excited to get on the ice with him, and hopefully next year we play alongside him.
And when you talk about the other draftees, Ryan Roobroeck coming in, obviously you knew his brother Dylan Roobroeck from his time here in Niagara. Did you ever cross paths with Ryan while Dylan was here? And obviously you've probably known his parents. So just how exciting is that to bring in another Roobroeck to the organization and welcome him in as a second overall pick? I know there's a lot of pressure there, but how are you going to kind of calm his nerves down and just bring him on and make sure that you bring him along the right way as a rookie?
One of the best families I've probably ever came across in the OHL. Dylan, one of the greatest kids, easygoing, doesn't take much to make that kid happy. And so me and him have a great relationship. It's grown over the years, even though he is now in Oshawa. You do see us battle a lot on the ice, but that's just being competitive guys. But he is a great kid, one of my friends. And Ryan, I knew him a lot actually. We always used to talk about him because Dylan would tell us how he's doing even before his draft year, and I think everyone knows the story about Ryan Roobroeck. So it was a name probably everyone knows. When Dylan was on the team, probably I would say the 22 players on our team knew who Ryan Roobroeck was. And then this year, I actually got the privilege to meet him at a game in Kitchener that I was injured in. They brought the whole team Ontario down there, and just funny enough, I was just walking to the dressing room after the game, and they were walking out, and I seen him, so I stopped him, and we kind of had a little chat before there. Nothing big, just kind of talking about how the season's going and stuff like that. But he's a great kid, comes from a great family, and he's going to fit in very, very well, just like his brother did. So I'm excited to be with him. And being drafted second overall, like you said, it is a huge accomplishment, but it does come with a lot of stress and pressure. And that's just one thing, just like Kevin and just like all these other first-year guys are going to try and take them under my wing and just teach them things that I learned over the years and just things that help me with stress and that help me with the pressure. And because we all feel it, no matter if you go in the first round or if you go in the sixth round, no matter what you get picked, everyone feels the pressure and stress of the OHL. But at the end of the day, I say this a lot, that this is a game that we love playing and we grew up playing, and this is all we really know. And so I'm just going to help him really get to where he wants to be, hopefully, and hope for the best for that kid.
And Landon, last question for you. I know Kyle and I have talked a lot about adding the depth to this organization. Due to the injuries and stuff this last season, it was hard for you guys to overcome that deficit, and giving up 357 goals as a team. Obviously, that didn't equate to a lot of wins. But just how much do you think adding these players that you've added so far with the 2 top 5 picks on forward, Artem Frolov on D, they're going to have you back. Wysick is going to be healthy, and then obviously a trade or two could be made in the offseason to bring in some guys. Just how competitive do you think this team can be right away, starting next season, and trying to build back into that playoff contending team that you guys wanted to be coming into last year, but just being able to cut down on those goals against and have that organizational depth when guys get out of the lineup, that you'll have other guys to be able to step in and produce?
I think it's huge. I think this year we're going to come with a whole new attitude. I've talked closely with the coaching staff and the ownership and GMs, and we're going to have a whole different mindset in camp. And I know all the players in our group chat are ready to do it, just ready to be professional from day one. And I think with this draft, having 2 such high picks, I think it makes it even easier for us to go along with our goal, and that is obviously to make playoffs. And I think Darren and our coaching staff won't accept anything less, which is great. So, I think you guys, fans and everyone watching, should be ready for a great season next year. I think all the boys are motivated. And come training camp, that's when the tempo picks up, and it's going to be a hard training camp for all the new kids and even for the kids returning. I know the coaching staff and the owners have told us from exit meetings to even now, they're telling us that camp will be a hard camp, and it will be a competitive camp, and there will be a lot of competing. There will be a lot of battling and everything that's going to make a team better that we're going to try and implement into our system and into our locker room. We talk about culture a lot in Niagara, and it's taken steps. It's taken, for sure, big steps under Kulbara and Brandon Shaw and Jeff Angelides. I just think that it's a learning game. I think we're a young team. Like you said, a lot of injuries last year. So we're going to obviously try and clean that up. Me and Wysick obviously will be back and ready to play for the full season, which will be great. Adding Artem on the back end will be great. We have Bronson Ride coming back, and then our forwards are really, really high end right now. And on paper, they look amazing. So hopefully, going into next year, we'll have everyone coming and ready to go. And hopefully we'll give the fans what they deserve.
Captain Cato, thanks a lot for doing this and taking time out of your recovery. We wish you all the best. And we had Kevin He on to respond to what you said about his little pretty boy treatment that he got there when he after missing out on the on-ice testing that you guys did near the end of the season there. He really had no comment for that. So for the first time, I think for the first time ever, Kevin He was speechless. So you have the honor of making, the great Kevin He speechless with that comment.
Yeah, I got him finally. So that's a good thing to hear. But no, I know the guys are even still talking about it in the group chat. So I think next year he's going to be doing 2 testing just to show all the boys. He's going to do the testing twice just to show all the boys that he's ready. But yeah, no, Kevin's a great kid, and everyone knows he's going to come into camp better than ever, and just excited to see him especially.
Yeah, absolutely. Captain Landon Cato with us. Landon, thanks a lot, and go get him in the summertime with the recovery, and enjoy the summer, and can't wait to see you again in the fall.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, Landon. Landon Cato joins us on the line there. Kyle, just great thoughts as always from the IceDogs captain, and it's encouraging that he finally got the surgery that he needed, and that he's going to make a full recovery for the start of training camp next season.
Exactly, and it just goes to show you why he wears a C on his chest. A lot of good thoughts and good praise there from Landon Cato and reaching out to the draftees and being the leader of this team that he was picked to be. So always good talking to Landon. I really hope his shoulder surgery recovery goes well this offseason, because he's a crucial part of this defensive core, and we really need him back there. So here's to him on a speedy recovery, and I can't wait to see him in camp next year.
Absolutely. So we're awaiting our next guest here, but the IceDogs, I believe, while we were talking, did select in their 7th round pick.
All right.
The IceDogs select Douglas Mitchell, center from the Toronto Titan.
Another forward. So 5 forwards and 1 defense now, I believe? Or 4 forwards and 1 D? 5 forwards and 1 D.
Yep.
So a center from the Toronto Marlboros?
No, the Toronto Titans.
Titans, okay. So a centerman. And what was his name? Douglas Mitchell?
Douglas Mitchell.
Okay, not bad, not bad.
We'll have to do some digging on him.
But that's exciting. Another centerman to add to the fold and to compete with again.
I think that goes to show you that they want to add some depth at the forward position.
Yeah, and center is not always guaranteed position, especially we've seen not only in this team in the OHL, centermen could easily play wing where they need to be slotted to be. But yeah, that's good. So we got a nice pick there in his centerman. We'll find out some more scouting up behind him as we go on. But today's mostly a guest day. Again, we're hoping to hear from some of the draftees that come in today and get them on the show. But great to hear that from Landon, and hopefully, again, his shoulder surgery is a successful one, because I really want to see him out there. Rather, it's nice to talk to him in the press box, but I'd rather much watch him on the ice competing for this team. And not only that, but being that veteran leader for a lot of these young defensemen that we have going into next year, right? Like, you have guys like Ryan Van Netten and Wysick that could really use a veteran leader out there. So hoping for good things in his recovery.
And he's dying to get back out there. It killed him all year to not be out there as the captain.
Oh, yeah.
Not being able to be on the ice. Like, that just must have been so difficult for him, as a competitor and as a natural-born leader to not be able to be out there. But hopefully in his overage year, missing out on this year, was a silver lining, and he can have a great overage year here in Niagara.
Exactly.
So we're about 5 minutes away from our next guest. Steve Clark's going to join us, the play-by-play
voice
Clarky on the TV side for the Niagara IceDogs. So Steve Clark will be joining us. His daughter's actually playing in a hockey tournament.
Oh, so he's calling us from the rink.
I think he's calling us right before he leaves for the rink. So, so thanks a lot to Steve for being able to hop on. And maybe he can give us some analysis of the tournament going on. Maybe that'd be fun.
Hey, maybe we'll see his daughter in the future play in the women's league. That'd be great to see. The PHPA, or I believe there's two leagues, right? There's the PHPA and there's I think it's the NWHL, if I could be mistaken.
Well, that Canada lost in the gold last week. That was, heartbreaking. But you know what? They've won a lot of gold over the years, so I can't be too upset about it.
I'm always going to be upset when Canada lose gold. Doesn't matter. We could have won like 18 in a row, and I'd still be upset.
We would. But 7th round picks. So Douglas Mitchell. Let's do a quick
analysis.
Yeah.
Of 7th round picks. Well, the last notable name that we've taken in the 7th round. I'm going back here a couple of drafts.
You're gonna have to
Cameron Snow, 2018, was one of the last 7th round picks. That is, I guess, a notable name, but notable to you only there, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm sure Ted Lehman would know off by heart all the 7th round picks that have been taken in the history of the IceDogs.
I'm also seeing I didn't recognize.
Vince Dunn was a 6th round pick. So
6th round.
Yep.
Wow.
Liam Ham. Going ham.
Oh my God! Yeah, that was funny. We used to say
going ham.
Yeah, that's funny. I just
Johnny Schaefer was a 6th round pick.
Well, there you go.
Brother just taken 1st overall in the OHL draft.
But we'll see how this 7th round. I used to say 6th round. This 7th round pick guy goes.
Okay, so I've got a little bit on him. He's from Toronto, 5'11", I guess now. It's always funny you go from different sites and they have so much different weight and height.
It's always because that's. And I mentioned that yesterday. These kids at this age could be one height at the beginning of the year and another height at the end of the year. They go through crazy growth spurts, and it's just it's nuts to see them grow, man. Some of them will go like a full 4 or 5 feet sometimes. It's nuts.
So he's listed as a center left wing. So like you mentioned, always good to take a centerman because you can always move him to the wing if you need it, and knowing that he has the ability to take face-offs.
And another forward to compete with that camp. It's always good to see.
They've added a lot to the forward group. From the Toronto Titans, he had 10 points in 32 games with them, and then he also played the season before in prep hockey. Excuse me. 5 points in 4 games over there, and 2 games with the North York Rangers this season as well. So that is Douglas Mitchell from the Toronto Titan.
And time will tell, right? Now we get into these picks, like it's one of those things. Time will tell. Will they hit? Will they not hit? We'll have to find out in the next couple of years. But always nice to just go over their draft profile and see what they're bringing to the table right off the bat. So yeah.
Next pick for the IceDogs will be in the 8th round, and it'll be the first pick of the 8th round, 143rd overall.
143rd overall.
And then Niagara will actually pick again in the 8th round. They pick a 143, then Erie picks, and then Niagara picks again. So
143 and 145?
Yes.
Would that be?
Yep.
So they've picked 145 before. I'm going to see if they've ever picked 143. I'm not seeing 143. They've seen a couple of 145. 145 we picked more than once in the last couple of years. Not seeing a one. We may have a first ever 143. There's 146.
We've had a lot of first-time evers.
Yeah, this is a very historic draft.
I think this is the 4th time that they've had
147. 147. Yep, they've never chosen 143, so this will be a very first 143rd overall in this organization. What a crazy history stacking. We're going nuts over numbered picks.
Ted Lehman, the radio voice of the IceDogs, has us doing that now. Yeah. We're going to get our next guest on the line right now.
All right. And who might that be?
Hello.
Hello. We are joined on the line now by the TV play-by-play voice of the Niagara IceDogs on your TV, Niagara. That would be the illustrious Steve Clark, and tougher than a $2 steak, as Jim Ross would say. Steve, thanks so much for doing this this morning. I know your daughter's in a hockey tournament, so I don't know if you're calling us from the rink or just before you're about to leave for the rink, but we appreciate you taking some time out for us.
Oh, no problem. Haven't left yet. And I didn't know the interview would start as soon as I said hello. What if I had said something like inappropriate or something when picking up the phone? But that's the joy of live audio, right?
I would edit it out. It's all right.
So, Steve, just initial reactions to a couple of the top picks for the IceDogs, obviously calling all the games, the home games this season. You know, it wasn't the easiest season for the IceDogs. They went through a lot of trials and tribulations, but bringing in Ryan Roobroeck, who just missed out on being granted exceptional status last year with Michael Misa, and then Ethan Zada. So two forwards in the top five. Just what do you think that they're going to bring to this organization and adding depth to the forward group?
Well, listen. I mean, Ryan Roobroeck is very much a known quantity. There's not much more like I could really add to what has already been said. I mean, I know that his OHL Cup wasn't the strongest, and that put like the tiniest seed of doubt. And I say the tiniest seed of doubt in people. But I mean, you take a look at this player. He's 6'2". He's probably got a little bit of growing to do, seeing that his brother Dylan is 6'7". He scored over 50 goals, last year. Perhaps over 60 when you factor in other play. He's a no doubter, and he's going to be a very much a centerpiece, addition. And then when you've got Zada, I mean, I heard there were several options for the IceDogs at this 5 pick, and then it kind of got narrowed down. And I know that Zada is not like your consensus top 5 type talent or top 15 or top 20 type talent, but there's 2 things to consider. One, that had to be a must-sign position because you don't get a comp pick next year. And 2, IceDogs drafted Kevin He 25th overall last year, and that worked out pretty well. And I'm pretty sure that's where Zada was probably slotted in that area. So you're getting a very, very talented forward who can score. So now you've got a real intriguing forward core with good distribution. You've got Roobroeck and you've got Zada, and then you add Kevin He, you've got Andrew LeBlanc, Declan Waddock, and a couple of the other guys, and Asadorian is right in there too, Lavoie. I mean, you're starting to put together a pretty solid, developing forward core.
TV play-by-play voice of the IceDogs, Steve Clark, joins us as one of his fellow Four Horsemen gentlemen. Bill Potchers just walks in the room. That's good timing, but we'll save the Four Horsemen reference for another day. But Kyle, go ahead.
Steve, you got the pleasure of calling games last year, the home games for. We're talking about the draft, last year's rookie draft. Kevin He coming into the second round probably should have been a consensus top round pick last year in the first round. What did you like out of Kevin He's game this past season in his rookie campaign?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, I've got to give credit to my color partner, Ed Burkholder, who picked out Kevin He as a real player in the preseason and said this is a talented young man. And there's a few things to consider here too. First of all, you tended to forget that Kevin He was 16 years old with the maturity that he displayed during the course of the season. And secondly, he just seemed the speed he has, the skill he has, and the fearlessness he has really, really progressed as the year went on. Like a lot of rookies, he went through some droughts when it came to scoring. But if you're putting up over 20 goals in this league as a 16-year-old on a team that was floundering for much of the year and had different line mates and all sorts of other dynamics going on, I mean, that's an intangible that you can't really define. If a player is able to weather that kind of adversity on and off the ice and still produce and still excel and be on the top line and get power play minutes, I mean, the sky is the limit. This is his draft year coming up. Ed Burkholder hasn't pegged as a potential first rounder. It wouldn't surprise me to see that and to see him top the 40-goal plateau. I mean, this player is very, very exciting.
And we talk about the offensive side of things, Steve. Moving on to defense, this team gave up 357 goals last year. They've got to improve on that if they want to be a playoff team next season. You lose 3 OAs and Keane, Rebo, and Jesus on the back end. Captain Cato's on the road to recovery with his surgery. Andrew Wysick will hopefully be 100%. Artem Frolov into that lineup. Just how much do you think that stabilizing that D-core and that team structure defense under Ryan Kuwabara is going to be the point of emphasis going into next season?
Well, you could tell every time you talked to Ryan Kuhlbauer post game, he talked about buying into a system and structure and things like that. So obviously, that's what he wants. Yeah, defensively, the IceDogs really struggled last year. There's no sugarcoating that. Lots of lapses, trouble moving the puck out of the zone, turnovers galore. I mean, that was there for everybody to see. And again, let's face it, the D-core is going to be a huge question mark coming up. Landon Cato coming off an injury-riddled couple of seasons. Andrew Wysick only played a third of the season. Jacob LeBlanc played massive minutes and really had to kind of develop as that young leader. And I do think some of that pressure did get to him towards the end of the year. No fault of his. Bronson Wright started off great, and then he leveled off. So, there's all sorts of questions with the defense. And those are things that you're going to have to address through other means, whether it's, trade or import draft. I don't know a whole lot about the defenseman they drafted. Frolov, was it? But I take a look, and I've got a recency bias. I look at his size. He's about 6 feet and 195 pounds. I like that size. Good, compact size. And for something, IceDogs, when they had a Russian defenseman by the name of Alexander Mikulovich, he became a fan favorite. He was physical. He was rugged. He could move the puck. Hopefully Frolov, who does have a Russian background, though he was drafted in the OHL draft and has the Canadian nationality, hopefully he could be in that sort of mold. So again, 16 years old, so temper your enthusiasm. But sometimes guys come into the league a lot more ready than you think and really develop well as a 16-year-old.
Steve Clark joins us on the line right now. Steve, good point there and good segue to my next question for you is the import draft. Now that the IceDogs will have a top pick in the import draft, from what you've seen over the years and the impact that those imports can have on the IceDogs roster, Daniil Gushin, Robin Denicios, and I'm sure there's some names that I'm missing that from previous years when the IceDogs have, it's a hit or miss, right? Every team hits or misses with the import draft, but just how much of a valuable tool do you think that extra layer is as far as bringing in some players that could really be beneficial for your club? We see, what Matt Bay Petrov's brought to the North Bay Battalion, but thoughts on what the IceDogs might do here with the import pick and how important that might be?
Well, I think you really nailed it when you said the imports can be hit or miss, and normally there's usually no in between. Some of these players really struggle transitioning to the North American game and really the North American and OHL lifestyle, and it shows in their play. Others step right in and are very solid contributors. Rodwin Denician, when he came to Niagara, had a lot of detractors, and again, his defensive flaws were kind of obvious, but he was also a confident, talented player and ended up being a plus, type acquisition, for them from the import draft. So you get a guy like that, or you get a Kian Sofa, or you get obviously the Daniil Gushchin was like a gem. That's the potential you could get. I mean, the import game is kind of a game I don't really want to wade into because it's not necessarily drafting players on potential. It's drafting on agreements with agents and relationships and other things like that. And how much you're willing to potentially invest in a player that you might have for a year or two. But it's an avenue, and the IceDogs have to explore it. And I'm pretty sure Darren DeDobbler at the end of the year did say that he was looking at the import draft for a defenseman. So we'll just have to wait and see. But with the IceDogs having, a top 5 pick in that import draft, then definitely there's an opportunity to add an impact player.
Steve, last question here. With the defensive core being the way it is after losing the 3 away players, is there someone that a returning player, not maybe a new player, but a returning player, is there someone that sticks out to you just from calling the games and watching them over the years that really you think that can make a big impact and hope to make a big impact and a stride into their progression going into next year?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, Landon Cato, to me, is that guy that I look at. He has to be healthy. And I know those are factors, beyond his control. But having got to know Cato a little bit, and I remember running into him in the offseason before the season started, how excited he was about the captaincy and how excited he was about all the new acquisitions that the IceDogs made. And then it just simply all fell apart on the ice for him and for the IceDogs. He never could get healthy. You could see him try a couple times in the second half of the season, and then he shut it down, probably rightfully so. In a lost season, there's no need for him to play through injury and further damage, his career, with a more serious injury. He's the person I'm really, really looking at, and it's more of a hope than it is an expectation. I just hope that he stays healthy for the whole year and gives the IceDogs 60 to 68 games and gives people a chance to demonstrate what sort of leader that he is. You know, he's a pleasant young man. He's an affable young man. He's obviously built very, very well in terms of size, but it's very, very difficult to lead from the sidelines when you're not in the locker room wearing the uniform ready to play. And that's no knock on him. That's just the reality of the situation. So it's him who's the one I'm looking for, and I just hope that he stays healthy and gives the IceDogs the type of production and demonstrates the type of ability that he has in the last year of his OHL career.
Steve Clark, the TV play-by-play announcer for the Niagara IceDogs over the last 15 years. Steve, on your TV, just thanks so much.
Has it been that long? Goodness me.
Yeah, I know. We remember games back at the Jack when we were young tykes going to games, but I'm sure that makes you feel good. But before we let you go, Steve, just go ahead and plug to the audience, you know, where they can find your work and where they can find your play-by-play announcing.
Yeah, I've got a website that's all set up. SteveClarkMedia.com is where you can find, examples of hockey I've called, and I've also called, basketball, football, volleyball, and lots of on-camera stuff. So you can go there if you're so interested. Steve Clark Media is the Twitter handle, where I try not to get myself in trouble and stick to sports and bad 80s pop culture references and cliches. So yeah, with a bang of the jukebox, this Fonz is going to check out for the day. And I've kind of been tracking the draft a little bit and seeing some of the other players that are being added. And, as I like to say with the draft, I mean, you don't get drafted. There's always going to be, the Arbor Jackeyes and the Alex DeBrinkets and the Anthony Cirellis of the world who excel. And for that, I hope that there's success for all the players, but in particular the IceDogs, because we know what the narrative is out there, right? We know what people say. People are angry. People are unhappy. People think that the organization is a laughing stock. Well, a laughing stock doesn't put 5,000 people into the arena and has an ardent fan base. And it really, they've got no place to go but up. So I'm looking forward to the off season, and then looking forward to the season ahead.
Great last words, Steve. Much appreciated. Good luck to your daughter in her tournament, and maybe we'll get some analysis from you on that. But best of luck in the off season, and we can't wait to see you calling games back again at the Meridian Centre in September.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy.
Thanks, Steve.
Take care.
There was Steve Clark, the TV play-by-play announcer for the Niagara IceDogs. Kyle, just thoughts from Clarkie there.
Always great to talk to Clarkie. But I love that, when I asked him the question about who sticks out to him as a returning player on the defensive end, that really he's excited for her to make an impact. And he's right. If Landon Cato can stay healthy, he can be a crucial part of his defensive core, not only with being the veteran leader, but actually his play on the ice and be a key contributor that we need him to be on this defensive end.
Absolutely. So we don't have any more guests lined up at the moment, but the IceDogs, I believe, have picked in the 8th round.
Ooh.
So this name, oh my, I thought the last name was hard. This one, Mesilin Etchart. I have no idea if that's the way to say it.
Do we have confirmation from Bill in the room? Okay, so he's... I'm glad we got confirmation.
So they took a defenseman from the Rockland Nationals.
Oh.
HEO Midget is the league.
HEO Midget, okay.
So I'm going to look up this name, and I'm glad Ted wasn't in the room when I said that, because he's always one to criticize botching of names.
He was. I would have loved to seen his face when you tried to say that name.
No, I'm actually glad he left.
I shouldn't be laughing because I'm worse. I can't pronounce regular names. So I thought it was Bill Potris.
I have no idea what we said for Bill's name at first, but yeah. So the IceDogs take a left D here.
Okay.
5'11", 167.
So that's 5 forwards, 2D for the current total right now. As Brandon coughs again. Rough day for you, man.
Rough day. Got this dry cough that just won't go away.
No, that was the worst.
But so they finally went to the defensive side of things after a run on forwards.
So we'll see how he pans out going forward. But yeah, interesting name. We were talking about like great names that we could pronounce earlier. Now we're getting to the names where like, I don't even know how to say this name. Like, I don't even ask me how to read that name, but give us a little bit of a elite prospects draft profile on him.
Okay, he's from Ottawa, Ontario. 6 foot, 187 defenseman. For Rockland Nationals, he had 12 points in 33 games with them in 2022-23, and also had a point in 2 playoff games. So he also played for the Ottawa Junior 67s in 2021-22, 13 points in 24 games as a defenseman. So, 6 foot, good size. As Steve mentioned, he likes the defenseman being around 6 foot to 6'2", compact size, can be mobile, able to move the puck. So you look at that, and again, that's something to build off of. Whether he develops into an OHL player, that remains to be seen. But again, like when we had Austin on earlier today, Austin Broad from FC Hockey talked about when you get to those mid to late round picks, you got to make sure that the guys can skate.
Exactly.
At this level, because the game, not only at the junior level, but at the NHL level, just becoming so much faster of a game than maybe the game that our fathers grew up watching, where, guys could go around there and not really have to be the best skaters. Now, you have to be able to skate to be successful in today's hockey, because the game is it has just gone to another level with the intensity and the level of skill and speed that these guys have.
No, exactly. He said it right. You can't be, the quote-unquote Bambi on ice when you're coming to this OHL level and then transitioning into the NHL level. So, yeah, it's important that skating is a big factor in your game as it goes forward here.
Okay, the Niagara IceDogs have made their next selection.
Oh, all right. Oh, God. I forgot we had 2 picks here.
Eric He.
No.
From the Toronto Red Wings. Left wing, 5'11", 158.
Spelt the same last name. Is this his brother? Wow. Did we just draft Kevin He's brother?
Should have had Kevin on after that.
Yeah. Can we call Kevin back?
He's
probably talking with his brother right now, to be honest. That's interesting.
Yeah. He has a given name, but it's Eric is the name that he goes by. Eric He. So that was a pick from the Sioux Greyhounds that the IceDogs had acquired.
Interesting.
I think Bill Potras is going to get some. He's going to figure it out for us.
Our own Elliot Friedman going to go and get that information from us. That would be interesting if that is his actual brother.
While we get confirmation on that, so the IceDogs did take Eric He, left winger from the Toronto Red Wings, and also Masilin Etchart, left defenseman from Rockland Nationals. Again, when I meet this young man, maybe one day I'll apologize for botching his name on the draft show. Good thoughts there at the end by Steve Clark, though, Kyle, about, the fan base hanging in there through a couple of rough years. And despite, the team having nothing to play for at the end of the season, they were still getting 5,000 fans into the Meridian Centre, packing it for the last few weeks of the season.
That's been a thing that we talked about with this fan base. Is they are the most passionate fan base in the OHL. I don't think you'll ever see a team in last place sell out an arena the way the IceDogs do. The IceDogs have been in last place, the last 2 years, and they've sold out the Meridian Centre at times in the last regular season games where games didn't matter. They weren't making the playoffs. They weren't fighting for a playoff spot. They're still getting almost 5,000 fans into this building and being as loud as ever as if it was a playoff game. Just shows you the kind of passion and dedication that this fan base has. And, it's also something you can take what Clark said at the end there, that it's something to be excited for going into next year with this draft and the way this team is being built and just the way it's being organized. So lots of excitement with this franchise, and something the fans can definitely should and will get behind, hopefully.
Absolutely. So I think the IceDogs pick again here shortly. Just seeing if we can take another small break here before.
So I think your voice would want a small break.
Yeah, we got to give the fans what they want, though.
Yeah, we're crossing the 2-hour mark, so that was around the 1 hour mark is when we had our last break.
Oh, Hayden Ellis from the Buffalo Junior Sabres was just taken by the Kitchener Rangers.
Buffalo Junior Sabres.
Love that.
Man.
Great program there. And
yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know lots about that program.
The Buffalo Junior Sabres also, they had 2 players go in this round. They also had Matthew Lansing go to Erie. So 2 players from the Buffalo.
Any in the first round?
Yeah, we're not going to go there. But, yeah, Kyle, you know what? Let's hit a break right now. Guys, we're going to hit a break quickly. We're going to try to get another guest on when we come back, and the IceDogs are going to pick in the 9th round coming up shortly. So stay right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs.
Experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports and esports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive's game concept revolves around player props, which are simple over-unders on player stats. There are contests for traditional sports including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and cricket, as well as esports titles including CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and more coming soon. Here's how to play. Choose your lineup of over-unders for top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Each prop has a fantasy point total based on how likely it is to hit. The more points the selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. Thrive is awarded over $2 million in cash, so come and prop up today.
Welcome back to our OHL draft live stream right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network and the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. We're in the 8th round, just about to finish up, of the OHL Priority Selection, and we're going to be joined by a special guest here. We're happy to have him on the show for a few minutes here. Just came to Niagara, just got his picture taken, put on the jersey. We're pleased to be joined by the 2nd overall selection, Ryan Roobroeck. Ryan, thanks so much for taking some time. I'm sure it's been a whirlwind couple of days for you. Just what has it been like?
Sorry to rush you in here.
Darren DeDobbler brought him in here. But what has this whole process been like for you, and how happy are you to finally be drafted?
It's truly an honor. I mean, finally be drafted. It's by such a great organization. The last couple of days have just been, I don't know, it's kind of hard to wrap my mind around it, but just enjoying every second of it and looking forward to the future.
And your brother, obviously, Dylan Roobroeck, was a draft pick of the IceDogs back in 2020. How much have you leaned on him during this process, and how much has he been a support system for you going through that process as well as the older brother?
Yeah, I've been able to lean on him whenever. I mean, we've always grown up playing hockey together against each other. Being able for him to go through it once before and then always ask him questions on anything, it's truly amazing, and grateful for what he's done for me and helped me where I am today.
Ryan Roobroeck's with us.
So I brought it up on the show, and earlier in the day, I'm like, at least with me growing up, and my siblings, whenever we did anything that involved the same thing, so now you and your brother are both involved in hockey. With me, it was like cat and dog. We always had to one-up each other. Was that the same with you and your brother growing up? Did you guys always have to one-up each other, or were you guys just there leaning on each other and just being helpful the whole ride?
Yeah, I mean, always growing up, playing mini sticks from road hockey, mini sticks, just kind of everything that could have been turned into a competition was turned into a competition. So, I think that's where I get my competitive edge from, and very grateful for it.
Ryan Roobroeck, what did you think that this season went for you with London, the junior Knights, and just wanting to really build off that season and make sure you come into this OHL draft ready to go with the whole process, and just how did you feel like the season went for you? I know the OHL Cup, you guys, it didn't end the way you wanted it to, but just how much going through that and this season did that prepare you think for the next level?
Yeah, it was a good season. The guys, we've been together for, 7+ years. So finally growing up with them and see how far they've come along, it's great. The season was good. We had a good coaching staff, great group of guys surrounding each other. It was truly a good minor midget season that I think every player would enjoy to be playing in.
I know you're looking forward to getting started in the fall with training camp, but just how excited are you to really get going with this group? And being competitive right away, competing for a roster spot and playing next season.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I wish it was sooner, to be honest, but work hard off season all along and be ready for training camp. It's nothing more.
And last question for you before you got a lot more stuff to do today, so we appreciate you taking the time. But just for the fans out there, the IceDog fans are so excited to have you here. What is the type of play style that you want to bring to the IceDogs, and who's maybe a player that you try to model your game after at the NHL level that you want to strive to be?
At the end of the day, I hope the fans, coaching, and players, my teammates can rely on me on any situation, no matter what it is. I don't really pick apart I just kind of pick apart games from the NHL, different players, and just kind of take everything in at one time and just put it into my game. Who
was your favorite player growing up?
I don't know. I'd probably have to say Ryan Getzlaf.
Oh, that's a great pick, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a last question, though, because we heard that your brother, after being traded from here to Oshawa, started saying his last name, the pronunciation was Roobroeck. Is it Roobroeck or Roobroeck?
It's Ro, but
it's Ro?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. we strive on saying it correctly, so we're going to say Ro.
You're going to hear so many different pronunciations of it, it's okay. So just go along with it.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of those over there, so it's all right.
Ryan Roobroeck with us. Thanks so much, and congratulations. I know it's an exciting time for you and your family. Enjoy the process and everything that comes with the week, and we can't wait to talk to you again in the fall.
Thank you for having me.
That's Ryan Roobroeck, the 2nd overall pick from the Niagara IceDogs in last night's draft. Making the rounds. Wow.
I know. Yeah.
Great stuff.
So we know now it is Roobroeck. It is confirmed. Now, he does not mind Roobroeck either, which is great. Not sure how Dylan Dylan feels. Well, maybe if we run into him when Oshawa's in town, we'll ask him, because he said it was Roobroeck, but he said it. You know, he didn't question the rubric here in Niagara. But but great insight there from Ryan. Very excited to be here. I know we kind of just got him yanked right from being introduced to the dressing room, and you know it's a lot too, right? We have the other draftees here today, who I hope to talk to in a minute here. Yeah, it's I'm excited to see what he brings to the table for Niagara, and I can't wait for training camp. And you can see here in the excitement in his face, he hates that he has to wait so long, that he can't wait to get to training camp.
Yeah, and he's excited, leaning on his brother for the process, and you even heard the family when they came in here. Good to see you again. So,
yeah. Round 2.
And you always want to make sure that kids leave on a good note as well.
Yeah.
So, like when Dylan was traded, you want to make sure that it was a positive scenario and that the bridge, was still open for another sibling or a family member of some sort to be able to come into an organization down the road. Because how many times do we see, siblings get taken by the same team, a few years down the road after, the older brother was taken. So I think that's important that the IceDogs kept that positive relationship with the Roobroecks even after Dylan was moved on. And Ryan's excited to follow in his brother's footsteps here.
Exactly.
So, Kyle, we're looking at round 9 right now, and Niagara actually did make their 9th round pick.
Oh, they did they?
Darcy DeWatcher, right defenseman, not five. I'm going to check the height and the weight because I'm always.
But
weary
another
about that.
defenseman, though. That's five. We've gone up to 3 defensemen now drafted, 5 forwards. So that's around 8 players taken. But 5 forwards, 3D, almost rounding out the D to forward ratio.
Darcy DeWatcher from the Brantford 99ers.
Hey, I feel like that name's familiar. I can't really put my finger on it, but I feel like the 99ers are a well-known team here in Niagara. I think, that's right. That's where Darren came from, the Brantford 99ers, and a lot of the staff here. But yes, that's there's your next defenseman pick there for the Niagara IceDogs.
I'm sure he's going to develop with the 99ers to start. Again, 9th round pick, so it would most likely be, I guess, the smart thing or the more, I guess, logical.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find words again.
Even though it's 11, our brains are still.
Yeah.
The hamster's trying to get
going. It's been
going
like 6
here.
hours between the last 2 days, so thank you guys who have been sticking with us through the 2 days. But it would be the logical thing to have, Darcy DeWatcher go down there with the 99ers, continue on with them. But now that the IceDogs will have his rights being drafted, that just makes a lot of sense to have a guy that you're familiar with in your program. Mm-hmm. He's already engraved in it, and he can be possibly maybe a call-up at some point during the middle to late end of the season.
And we heard Darren earlier in the year, not even just today, but even earlier in the year, that they plan on building through the draft, right? This is to build this team through the draft, and what better way to use some of these later picks but like you said, to someone that they're familiar with, someone in their system, and now acquire their rights and then draft them to the team. So this is why it's something else to be excited for with these late round picks, is if this team is looking to build through the draft, this is a smart way to do it.
Absolutely. So the IceDogs with their 9th round pick again, Darcy DeWatcher, in the 9th round, right defenseman from the Brantford 99ers. They will pick again in the 10th round to start.
Man, I feel so bad for you. That cough, you cannot shake that cough.
Nope.
It has been rough, and you've been just mucking these Ricolas like crazy, and nothing's helping. And now you got to take in a swig of some G sauce, or was it Gato? Gato is now a proper term.
Andrew Wysick loves saying Gato, so I'm drinking the blue Gatorade right now. I'm trying to get something going.
You're drinking the Kool-Aid. So that's the actual Kool-Aid is what you're drinking. The
I just tracked down Ethan Zada's father to see if he can get Ethan.
I was wondering who you're waving at. I was looking the opposite way. I'm like, who are you waving at? There's no one there. So you must have been on the other side of the door.
It was Ethan Zada's dad, who I'm sure is going to be another member of the Dad's Favorite podcast.
Oh, join the line. We got a lot.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the dads out there that are listening, probably. So
yeah,
I know
it's an exciting time for the families and.
Yeah, I know they'll be listening back once we throw these on audio. Sorry for the. I mean, I don't know how we're going to do this on audio. We're going to have to make like 5 parts. Because yesterday was 2.5 hours. It ended up being 3 because I left the live stream. So it like live streamed for like an extra hour, but we weren't there.
Well, the funny part was you started recording and you said, "Oh, I started recording, not streaming." So.
Yeah, I hit the record button. I'm like, why isn't we live streaming? Oh wait, we're recording.
It's okay. Things that happen in live television,
Yeah.
it's part of it, or live radio. I guess we're not on television. Live radio happens all the time. So
I think we're going to be part of some video though. Did you see that? We had the video in there videoing Ryan Roobroeck as we were interviewing. So, damn, I didn't put my makeup on today. So
it's okay. We look good.
I guess so. Our table's a disaster, but it's all right.
I'm trying not to drink any coffee, but I need it right now.
Oh God, yeah, I know. Does coffee help coughing?
No, it does the opposite.
Is it a doctor saying like no coffee?
That was actually Bern Frank that told me that from the St. Catharines Standard. So
shout out to Bern Frank.
Ryan Roobroeck though, already seems like he has a good head on his shoulders as a young player. I mean, I'm sure he's been prepared for this. His brother went through the process. I'm sure he, shadowed him as far as, seeing how he went about being drafted, and the family's been through it too. So,
and he brought up the mini stick battles. Trust me, I've been in my fair share of mini stick competitions, and those get pretty heated. So, I know what he's talking about when it comes to mini sticks. a lot of rug burn on the knees too. For some reason, some of my games ended up being like on carpet, and I'm like, what were we thinking as kids, man? Like sliding your knees on the carpet and then going home.
I'm paying for it these days.
Yeah. These days, I need to go to the hospital after that. When you're a kid, you just kind of shake it off.
We really sound old these days.
Yeah.
But coming to games back at the Jack.
Oh, God.
Pick 183. I'm checking to see if there's ever been a 183 by the IceDogs.
Do we have another history-making pick?
182.
Oh, that's close.
And 185 was Mason Howard.
But hey, that's a solid pick though. 185 with Mason Howard. He ended up being a very crucial part of the defensive core for the IceDogs.
Never seen a guy eat so many block shots in my entire life.
He literally ate block shots for breakfast. He went out there, and if you've seen a block shot and you can see the number, you can probably put money down that 9.5 out of 10 times it would have been Mason Howard.
Yep, 185th in 2017, Mason Howard.
Wow.
You mentioned Tucker Tynan, 192, also a 10th round pick in 2018. Mm-hmm. Going through the rest of them here, a couple of years they didn't have a 10th. Going to have to go back further. So Mason Howard, Tucker Tynan, the most relevant right now. Still looking.
Is that what you're doing? And coughing?
Yeah, in the middle of both. So, yeah, Mason Howard, Tucker Tynan, 10th round picks for the IceDogs in the past. That's what you could be looking for if you're the Niagara IceDogs. And, again, why sometimes these rounds are important. We can't just throw away these rounds. Some of these guys will develop, maybe not right away. Give 2 or 3 years, they might be in the
Never
OHL.
know, right? Like, who we don't know that maybe even out of camp next year, someone taken late shows up to camp and is just out of this world far ahead, right? And ends up making the team out of camp out of a late round pick. You really don't know until training camp comes, or even as Ted alluded to yesterday, a year or two down the line to know if that pick was a great pick or not. So it's kind of great to know like the roll of the dice kind of thing that happens here out of the draft. It's really fun to get.
12th round pick, 2015, Drew Hunter.
Oh, I remember Drew.
Yep, moved. Yeah. They ended up moving him to Erie later on, but he was a solid defenseman for the IceDogs. I mean, again, there's going to be some value here late in the draft, and we'll have to see if some of these guys do pan. It's going to be a little bit down the road, but they're going to be at training camp at least, so getting all those guys in at camp, getting them to know what's expected of them and what they need to work on to come back the next year and possibly have a shot at making the team, or even making a good enough impression that when the IceDogs need to call somebody up or they need to play a card, that he would be available, right? So,
right.
Bill Potras is back in the room. Bill, did you get any inside info? I did not. Okay. He hasn't talked to Artem Frolov, who is in the building as well. We should mention that some of the picks are starting to roll in here at the Meridian Centre. Obviously, Ryan Roobroeck is here live. Ethan Zada, who we're hoping to speak with. Artem Frolov is also here, getting their IceDog jerseys and the pictures taken. So, really exciting time for them, meeting the coaching staff and everybody at the organization.
I don't know if we have an Artem Frolov graphic. I don't know if we got that made or not.
No.
I don't know if I can make one on the fly. We'll see. But, yeah, we're hoping to talk to one or if not both of them. We also have some other guests lined up. Adam Henrich is going to join the show. We spoke to him briefly off air, so he'll be coming on eventually.
We're not sure about Chase Rochan from McKean's. He's not feeling under the weather this morning, so he was hoping to feel better later on. But if he can't join us, then that's okay. But yeah, Adam Henrich, I want to have him on. I just want to ask. He's just seems like a guy that's just full of energy. I want to have his audio on for you guys because we saw what he said with Ted Lehman on Country 89 when he did a intermission with Ted, and just the great words that he had for Kevin He. I'm interested to see the great words he has for some of these new picks.
And speaking of Kevin He, confirmed, Eric He is the brother of Kevin. So we have confirmation that our draft pick of Eric He that was taken 8th round, 145th overall. Eric He is the brother of Kevin He, which is exciting to see. He's got a lot to live up to, though. His brother Kevin, that's a big step up, right? So we'll see. We'll see what Kev. We have to speak to Kev about his brother because I'm kind of upset that he didn't mention his brother was going to be in the draft. I think Kev should have gave us a heads up.
Yeah, I think come on. I was asking him who he was looking forward to, and he mentioned a couple of his buddies. You don't mention your brothers in the draft?
Yeah. Man, what's the relationship in that house with that?
Yeah. Talk about the Roobroecks.
Oh man, but yeah, I'm excited to see how he shapes up too. That'd be really cool to have a Sedin thing going, right? With the two He brothers, that would be really cool. But just moving along here,
we're hoping to have Ethan Zada join us shortly here.
Yeah.
But again, can't blame the young man. He's going through the rounds, meeting everybody, getting his picture taken.
Of course, I type in Artem Frolov on Google, and the MMA picture came up. But
yes, Rod Mahood. You got to quickly mention that. We had Rod Mahood on from the Niagara Sports Report and the IceDogs PA announcer. He had a funny story about Artem Frolov.
Yeah, mentions that Artem Frolov, there is an actual MMA fighter with the exact same name, exact same spelling of Artem Frolov. And if you type in Artem Frolov on Google, the MMA picture guide comes up right away. So you have to make sure you type in Artem Frolov hockey on Google because I just made that mistake and got MMA pictures of this fighter.
We can confirm that he's not an MMA fighter. But he's got a lot to live up to if he does drop the gloves.
Yeah. That's what Rod said. Rod's like, I hope people aren't confused that we drafted an MMA fighter.
Yeah, they just drafted a guy that's going to go out there and drop the gloves at all times.
And he's like 40 years older than all the kids.
And he is not related to the former NHLer Alexander Frolov.
Yes, that's also confirmed. Which
sure
I know people in the chat were upset to hear that, but that's okay.
That's okay. Same last name though.
Yeah, I wonder if they're in the family tree.
Somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
So if we look at the draft for the IceDogs, as far as players that were playing from last year's draft, you obviously Kevin He is the second round. We've talked about him, for way too much in the show. Sure, Kev loves it. Andrew Vermeulen was the 4th round pick. He ended up playing for the IceDogs later in the season. Got that call up. And then you look at 9th round, Charlie Burns. In net. Played
Charlie
a couple
Burns.
of games.
Mr. Burns.
Boo Earns.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to boo Charlie. He came down from his junior league in the Sioux, played a couple of games for the IceDogs while Owen Flores was on the shelf. And so that you look at that as well. A 9th round pick last year ended up, playing a few games. So some of these guys might be valuable if a lot of injuries take place.
Yeah, we'll see how Charlie develops in the offseason. We'll see what he brings to the table. Obviously, he'll be at camp next year. And see how he competes for a job on the team, right? It's going to be, again, a competitive camp throughout. And I'll be interested to see if the IceDogs take a goalie, too, with these upcoming picks to add to that competitiveness, not only on the forward and defensive side of things when it comes to the compete level at camp, but now with the goaltending position.
Yeah, they haven't taken a goaltender yet in the draft. We'll go over the IceDogs quickly here just as far as the distribution goes. They've taken 4 centers, 2 left wingers, a left D, and a right D. No right wingers.
Necessarily the centers could.
But the centers obviously can
wing.
move to left or right wing. But no actual right wingers listed and no goaltenders. So 2 left D and a right D. So the distribution go as far as 9, doing the math on the fly here, 6 out of the 9 were forwards so far. So that must be an area that they're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see with this next pick. Is if they pick a defenseman, are they going to go for a round number, pick just 2 defensemen next, and then make it 5 and 5, and then go from there?
The IceDogs are now on the clock.
They are on the clock. Wow, I don't know. I don't have the music lined up here. Whoops.
Oh man, I've missed that epic music today.
For a late round pick too.
Why not?
There you go.
IceDogs 10th round pick, 183rd overall coming up. Let's quickly go over the stats as far as draft picks go over the years for the IceDogs. If they've had a pick at 183, or did I already look this up? I think I already did. Never mind. So yeah, this will be another
content.
This is the 4th time in the draft that the IceDogs will be picking a first ever 183rd pick to the organization. There's been a 185 and a 182.
That's a lot to live up to.
It is.
You get to say you're the first and only so far 183rd pick as an IceDog player.
Bern Frank from the St. Catherine Standard likes that.
He
likes those odd stats.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I want to see it in the article when it comes out. There you go. That's the headline.
We had to have taken right now, right?
Let me refresh the page.
Hit that F5 key.
Nope, we're still on the clock.
Okay, still on the clock. Maybe we're taking a timeout.
Maybe
this will be where the goalie gets chosen.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a nice segue considering we just talked about they haven't taken a goaltender yet.
If it's a goalie, we're officially the seers of this draft.
It was almost as good as when we were talking about 3rd round picks and Andrew Fritsch walked
right in the room. Yeah, it's like he knew we were talking about 3rd round picks.
Yep. Oh, I love the epic music. It gets me so excited.
Gets you amped.
It does.
Well, there's 2 minutes and 45 seconds of it, so hopefully they pick within that 42 minutes and 45 second window of this music.
Yeah, they'll be okay.
Maybe. Watch them wait, and it's like 200. They pick it at 247. Refresh like a madman on that computer.
I am. I feel like the pig from Toy Story when he was going through the channels. When he's trying to find Al's toy barn on the...
Yeah.
And he went through it like 4 times.
Oh, nostalgia there.
Oh, yeah. We really feel 30 years old, Kyle.
I feel old now because I can't really come up with... I'm struggling to come up with content right now. We've talked about almost literally everything. Like, what are we talking about next? Like, the Meridian Centre structure? Oh, it's a great floor. Like, it's getting tougher and tougher as the stream goes on here. We're crossing the 2 hour and 35-minute mark just now.
Thank you to those who have been listening along with us for day 1 and day 2. Hoping to get a few more guests on before we sign off.
Anything? No, not yet. Maybe.
Nope.
Wow, this pick.
Maybe it is a timeout.
Maybe it is.
I don't know. We can't hear, so.
Yeah. Yeah, even though the draft room is right next to us, we have these headsets on that are very soundproof. So it's someone's talking together, and we can't even hear what they're talking about next to us.
Yeah, we can't even hear what the peanut gallery's saying about us over there, but it's probably a good thing. Bill Potras loves to call us the Armchair Quarterback Network of GMs or whatever he claims that our.
That's a great name. I feel like that's got to be the.
You know what?
Name.
I should just rebrand it to that.
Maybe put like Tom Brady as like a quarterback, like as the picture, because he's a quarterback. Have him like sitting in an armchair.
Yeah.
Still no pick. The music, man. We have 45 seconds left of the music.
It's going to happen the second the music stops.
That would be great timing. If it does end at like as soon as the music stops, that'd be perfect timing. Oh. What a drop. What a drop there with that music.
I'm telling you, man.
You know, it's sad we're at this point where we're just listening to the music and talking about the music. No pick yet? Are you listening to the other room, see if we made a pick?
I was listening in. But
do you want to just stick your head out? Hey, we made a pick yet?
I think they might be in a timeout because
you should text our boy LV Design, see if he knows. He's currently making the graphic, and we're just delayed back here.
Because Ottawa already picked like 5 minutes ago, the last pick in the 9th round. Still nothing.
Yeah, and the music stopped. I'm not playing it again.
We need crickets right now.
Oh, wait, that's a dog bark.
The dog bark is, maybe it's good luck. There you go. That's what we're waiting on for the Niagara IceDogs with the 10th round pick here.
Hey, we were at the NHL draft in 2016 where Florida took a timeout with their 7th round pick. So
that was brutal.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking.
They waited the full 8 minutes and then took a timeout and then waited another 4 to 5 minutes after that.
If I was a GM on the floor, I would have been pretty mad.
Yeah, they must. And I don't remember if they ended up picking or trading.
I think they ended up trading it.
So it took them. It took them 15 minutes to trade a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back and see what the trade was for and who they drafted and what was drafted at that spot. That'd be like a great thing to go, like a great trade tree thing to go look at. I'm not saying for you to look at now.
No,
I thought you were gonna look it up.
No, absolutely not. No, Ted Lehman just walked in the room.
Hey, Ted.
No. Okay, see ya. We're waiting for this 10th round pick to come in. It's taken about 10 minutes.
I think we took a timeout, or we need.
Ted, you want to join us again for a few minutes?
No.
There you go.
What did they say? Oh, you're actually going to come on. Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Joined again on day 2 in the presence of the radio voice of the Niagara IceDogs, Ted Lehman, on Country 89.1. Ted, first of all, congratulations on the extension. Just how exciting of a moment is that for Country 89 and you guys coming back for another season on the radio?
It's I can't even describe it. It's great. I mean, it's so much fun to be able to cover this team and travel with this team, and what people don't get is sit in the background because you're not on the team. You won't hear me using the phrase "we" because I have a perfect record of 0-0-0-0, and
Wow.
I've had nothing to do
Undefeated.
with wins, losses, anything. I just get to watch it unfold, and it's been nothing short of fabulous. And if I wanted to, sorry, sleeping in your mom's basement crowd. If I wanted to craft an owner, it'd be Darren DeDobbler, at least the way he's treated people like me and the kind of respect and, in our case, loyalty you're getting and confidence with what's going on. So it's been nothing sort of great.
I'm just excited for more goal calls. Like you're in our intro with some of your most famous goal calls. I can't wait to see what comes next with when it comes to calling some great Ice Dog moments.
Well, you talked about a history. There's so many of them going on right now, and probably I think one of the most famous goals ever wasn't an overtime goal, didn't even decide a series, but it was in this building, and it was Josh Ho-Sang on a breakaway against Ottawa. And Ho-Sang was not money in the bank on a breakaway, but in this case, it was off an Nedeljkovic save. It was Josh Wesley, and they got it out to Ho-Sang, and he went in. And I swear, because if you say this most times, it was a fluke, but Josh Ho-Sang, I think, could have done it. I never got it confirmed, but I swear he put the puck on its side to be able to squeeze it through the 5-hole on the Ottawa goaltender.
Jeez.
Which, you could picture Josh Ho-Sang being able to do something like that. So, but moment at hand, I mean, I guess you had an introduction to Ryan Roobroeck, and I just did the same, and does not look overwhelmed. And as we speak right now, he's listening carefully, signing his agreement, and they're getting photographs of it. So Ryan Roobroeck is a member of the IceDogs. We know what number he's going to be wearing. The other players are here, and it's just been a great day so far.
And we've talked about it, Ted, over the years when families come in and they have, multiple children, and you have siblings that move on and other siblings that are younger that end up becoming members of that organization. How important, from what you've seen over the 15 years here, having that pipeline of families having a good relationship with the organization and making sure that the pipeline is there for, and the open line of communication to draft other siblings when other players are moved out, because obviously that happens in the league. So making sure that players leave on a positive note at all times.
Well, if I want to be a smart aleck, I could sit there and go, in that case, we'd have Roobroeck and Schaefer. But, didn't exactly work out that way. But I'll tell you talk about the family and the families. I think this family is almost more important. And there's getting that feeling that you want to be a part of this family. And, again, really respectful young guy in Ryan Roobroeck. Him and his mom and dad, we took a walk down Captain's Alley here, which is outside the dressing rooms. And they were, of course, just kind of amazed that all the IceDogs who worn the C are now. And, right away Ryan said, hey, these guys are all playing in the playoffs. Because Verhaeghe is there and Strome is there. And, there's so many players, Jason Robertson. And, even though he didn't wear the C for the IceDogs, wasn't here that long. I mean, there is a nice history. And what people forget is, as great as these young guys are, it's still a 1% that's going to make it all the way and be able to get there and have a meaningful career in the NHL. So nothing's guaranteed except hard work is going to win out at the end of the day.
Ted Lehman, the radio voice of the IceDogs on Country 89, joins us.
Yeah, because Brandon's voice begins to disappear there once again. He's having a rough go today. But,
well, he's drinking that toilet cleaner, which basically could be causing part of the problem there. I know it's got a G for Gatorade, but I'm trying to figure out, if you had a brush, we probably could go take care of the plumbing here. So,
Can you ask him a question already, please?
No, this is great insight. I'm excited about this. But we talked to a lot of the guests today and mentioned this. We've seen it and we talk about, love bringing up history here. Bringing up history with the IceDogs. IceDogs do have a history looking back at all their draft years of picking players late in the draft that end up being high impact and memorable players for this organization. I'll ask you the same question. How important is it, these late round picks? A lot of people like to just pay attention to the first couple rounds and never think that the later rounds mean anything. But in actuality, these later round picks could actually mean something to the team. We never know. We just drafted, people out there, believe it or not, we just drafted Kevin He's brother. We don't know necessarily what he brings to the table. I don't know if he's going to be the second coming of a Kevin He in his first year. Do we have a Daniel Henrik connection going on? We don't know. But how important do you think these late round picks are to any organization in the OHL?
I'm hoping to get a centerman by the name of Bobby Them, so we can have he, and them on one line. But no, that being said, there is a history. Brian Brosnan was a 15th round pick, and you can say, because the OHL is littered with guys that were hidden and guys that weren't necessary. Blake Siebenaller was a 15th round pick, and again, if I can give you a little context, so far of what I've seen out of the draft room, there's a little less drama than I've seen in past years, and a little less excitement, a little less panic, because I've seen in past years where there is literally heated discussions about who are we taking next, what's going on, I want my guy, you want your guy. There seems to be almost a unanimity in what they're doing in the room there. And Blake Siebenaller, there was no intention. The family didn't get the OHL, and they got to 6 o'clock. Everybody was tired. It was a one-day draft, and Marty Williamson said, I don't care, take the best player. And it turned out to be Blake Siebenaller. He ended up coming, but Brian Brosnan was a 15th round pick. Mike Schwint was a double-digit pick, which leads to a funny story. When John Neville was the chief scout under Marty Williamson, he was a great interview, and I said to John one time, are you more excited by the first rounder who pans out or the 9th rounder who surprises you? And John was great as an interview, and he stopped for a second. He went, well, let me tell you, he said, in that scenario, my boss has to be wondering what I've been doing for rounds 2 through 8.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So exactly. You can. I mean, I'll give you a non-IceDogs example. We were sitting around waiting for the picks when we had that lull, and I was going back over past drafts. There was, I think it was a 2013 draft, North Bay Battalion. It was a tire fire. It was a train wreck. There was nobody I even recognized. But in the 13th round, they got Justin Brazeau.
Oh, wow.
So unless I'm wrong, potted 50 for the North Bay Battalion, worked his way in. Again, I'll go back to past IceDogs history. Marty Williamson had a great line one time, and he was talking about Jordan Maletta, who worked his way in his overage year into a pro contract. And Marty was a big fan, as many of us were, of Jordan Maletta, and he said that sometimes it takes a little longer for them to get it. Mm-hmm. So I got news for you. These guys can grow 6 inches. So many things can change. We've had this discussion, the three of us on the broadcast. There's 3 things that make a great OHL player. He either is just great, or he was great in his draft year because he was playing with great players, or he got developed great. And all those things have to come together. So, there could be some kind of surprise because maybe somebody didn't get the coaching they deserved in their draft year, and then they turn around. Marty Williamson still talks about the one player he wished he never traded. Dave Brown, and that was Andrew Fritsch.
Yeah.
And they moved him, and he was not a first-rounder. Turned out to be a great OHL player, and then, had years afterwards. You have no clue. We can sit here. Fan boards can explode. Good luck. There's hockey lifers in the room there, and when in doubt, I'm going to defer to them.
Yeah, and like I mentioned to Brandon earlier, Mason Howard was a late-round pick who ended up being a very, very key piece of that defensive lineup for the IceDogs, a man who came into every game and maybe ate 15 to 20 block shots per game. And if you've seen a block shot and you couldn't see who blocked the shot, 9 times out of 10, Mason Howard was a guy out there that was out there deflecting those shots, and he ended up being a late-round pick as well. So there are gems out there. It all depends on how they develop going forward, too. With this organization, I mentioned to Brandon earlier, we could be coming into camp in August, September. Someone we've taken in the later rounds just ends up, we're just flying off the page. We're like, who's this guy? And we look at the page. He was taken 13th round and ends up starting in the lineup the opening night. So it'll be interesting to see who gets taken and how they develop going forward. And I also mentioned to Brandon, too, it was an interview with you had that with Darren DeDobbler earlier in the year. The plan is with this organization is to build through the draft. So I believe that they're doing their due diligence, and even with these late-round picks, to build this organization from the draft up.
Well, again, general manager of an OHL team, when talking about the IceDogs, said to me, it's really hard to turn it around without your first-round picks. Mm-hmm. And the IceDogs went back-to-back years without a first-round pick. And in talking, Kyle, about what you were talking about, stealing a movie line from the movie Rudy, where the coach says to him, I wish God would put your heart in some of my other players. And I got news for you. These guys are going to grow and mature in many different ways, and you have no idea who that guy is going to be. If 2019 taught IceDogs fans anything, is you can have all the talent in the world. You're going to have a great, talented team. And if the other side has a better team, you're not going to win.
Exactly.
Last question for you, Ted, before you take off. We talk about recruitment being
Let's see if you can get through the whole question.
Talk about recruitment being a big thing in the OHL, and we've obviously got confirmation that Ryan Roobroeck signing the contract, making sure that these players report and don't report. Just how important do you think it was for Darren DeDobbler and the staff to finally get out in front of these kids, unlike they were unable to do when they took over kind of in the middle of things last year? And how much do you think that they've gone through that process, and it's helped them to not have that stigma hang over this organization about players not reporting?
Take Darren DeDobbler out of the equation for a second. Just take him totally out of what's going on. You're the father of a 15-year-old kid. He's coming to a situation that's gone through, forgive me for lack of a better word, a scandal, and you've got a question mark as to who actually owns the organization and what's going to be. Would you want your son to come here? Now, we've known, because we've gotten to know Darren and things like that, yeah, you would. But last year, that just wasn't the case. So it basically comes down to, by the way, you have to start practicing, Brandon, and we all have to start practicing, because I checked it out with Dad. Okay, the name is Belgian.
Roobroeck.
You got it.
Yeah, we asked him when he was on here. Yeah,
he said he didn't care.
He said he didn't care.
I know. Stop that, because there's so many players that have done that, and they wait 2 years. They wait 2 years.
Hano was one of them, because we first asked him when he was drafted if it was Fimis, and he said yes. And then we find out when he gets traded that it was Femus this whole time.
Well, hey, Colton Ince was here for years. What a nice young guy. So We hear it's pronounced Insay. Oh, yeah, no problem.
But Dylan was here for 2 years, never
No,
bothered to say
never
anything.
said anything. Those are the players that drive you crazy. How do you pronounce this? Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. Okay.
Final thought, no matter how much you love the London Knights, are you shocked that they took a player who's going to the U.S. national program in William Moore and possibly getting him to report in the future?
Possibly getting him to report in the future. What time is it?
Future could mean tomorrow.
I'm sorry. I mean, I am not Nostradamus, and I called that when he announced he wasn't coming. And I was, well, where's London drafting, and when are they going to take him? And there's other little patent places going on during this draft. Bruce Trevor's brother gets drafted by another team. Was it done out of revenge, or is he just not as talented as his brother? What's going to happen with that? And I think it's got to be a long shot, unless I'm wrong. Enright's brother got drafted.
He did, Aaron Enright, yeah.
So there you go. And there's only 47 of them, because the whole family came out to an Ottawa game, and they came in a bus. So this is a really great big family. So wish them all the best.
Ted Lehman, radio voice of the Niagara IceDogs on Country 89. Thanks a lot, Ted, and thanks for, joking with us and taking some time. This week in IceDogs history was a hit this season, so thank you very much.
Well, it's all about the toilet water.
Thanks, Ted. There's Ted Lehman, and we're still waiting for Ethan Zada. Yeah. I think he's still making the rounds.
We might need to take a commercial break and see where everybody is.
Yeah,
I think Ted just kind of labeled, but I think we should take a commercial break to rest your voice a little bit before this next interview.
Yeah, so, if we come back a little bit quicker than usual from the break, that means never mind.
Nope.
Okay, perfect. We're not going to take a break. We're going to take a break after because we have special guests. We're joined now by the 5th overall selection for the Niagara IceDogs, Ethan Zada. Ethan, have a seat and just grab that mic there. First off, how did it feel to be picked last night? I saw you at the OHL Combine, so I know you've been getting geared up for this moment. Just when they finally called your name for the 5th selection, what was that moment like for you?
Oh, it was just so exciting because everything I've done up to this point has been for that, and it was just also a relief to get it over with.
Ethan, being drafted at 5th overall by the IceDogs, how excited are you by going into next year's camp with this organization, playing alongside such players as we saw Kevin He's rookie campaign this year and then what he put up, and then all other players just to mention, Zach Lavoie, Alex Asadorian, among others. How excited are you to get it going to camp this coming August, September, and compete for a spot in this team?
It's going to be exciting because all these guys are very great players. They have bright futures ahead, and it's just something that I want to achieve. So it would help me get a perspective of what I have to do to get there.
You talk about your family's here as well. Just how important have they been in the process for you? All those driving you to hockey practices all those years, and making sure that you made the games on time and the travel games and things like that. Just how important has your family been in this process for you?
Oh, they've been the most important thing. I wouldn't have been playing if they didn't drive me there or didn't drive me to practice every morning or workouts every morning. I owe it all to them.
Mm-hmm. You've had a tour of the facility so far. Looked around the arena, the dressing room. What excites you more or most, I guess, about playing here at the Meridian Centre? I'm sure you've heard about how crazy these crowds can be, even late in the season when a team is in last place. They're almost selling out 5,000 fans in the seats. Just how excited are you to play in front of these fans?
Oh, I can tell it's going to be electric next year, because, we're going to be a better team next year, obviously, and just more fans, more support. It's going to be insane.
Assistant GM Wes Consorti talked about your two-way game, your ability to win face-offs, and the stable presence that you bring to the team. Is that kind of the type of player you are, like a solid two-way centerman, can play in all different ends of the ice and be relied upon in key draws in penalty kill or late moments in games?
Yeah, that's exactly who I am. I'm great defensively, great offensively. I can pass, shoot, just great overall.
Who's a player that you looked up to as far as wanting to mold your game after maybe one of your NHL players that you really looked up to?
Patrice Bergeron.
Great player to pick there. Yeah, we always ask the players like who they live up to, and we've gotten some traditional names in the past, but I really like Patrice Bergeron. He's probably one of the best centers to ever do it out there in terms of the two-way game. So that's really awesome to hear. Are you a Boston Bruins fan by any chance?
I'm a Leafs fan.
Yes, he's a Sabres fan, so he doesn't like that.
Well, there you go, Kyle. I'm glad we got another one in here for you.
Love it.
Ethan, just how exciting is it for you and to meet some of your new rookies that are coming in with you for the same rookie class? Ryan Roobroeck, Artem Frolov. Just how cool was that moment getting to meet those guys as well?
You know, it's a great moment. These guys are great hockey players, and it's great that they're going to be my teammates next year.
Ethan Zada, thanks so much for taking some time to join us. I know you're making the rounds, and it's been a whirlwind couple of days for you, and I'm sure you look back on it, and it'll be one of the most exciting times of your life. Huge congratulations to you, and we can't wait to see you at training camp in the fall.
Thank you.
Ethan Zada joins us, 5th overall selection from the Priority Selection draft for the Niagara IceDogs, and look forward to seeing him this fall. Kyle, Patrice Bergeron, you got to have Patrice Bergerons on your team to be able to win. That's the type of player that you want to have on the roster.
Yeah, see, I can respect that. Him being a fellow Leaf fan, which is great to hear, but also knowing and respecting how great of a two-way center Patrice Bergeron is, and looking up to him to kind of like go by and how to play in his game. That's just, it's awesome to hear. I love hearing the names of the players that they pick, that they mold their games after. And Patrice Bergeron is a great pick. God, I would love to have him as a Leaf player, but obviously he's on a team that has history with the Leafs, but great pick there in Patrice Bergeron. And good talking to Ethan. I think he's going to fit in well with this organization, especially with his skill set and what he brings to the table.
Yeah, and he was excited about, wanting to compete at training camp next season, and that's, again, we keep talking about it, how competitive it's going to be, and he's going to add to that competitiveness coming in and wanting to make the lineup right away as a first-year player, along with Ryan Roobroeck and the other draft picks as well. So great stuff there from Ethan Zada. Glad we were able to get him on right before we went to the break. We're going to try to see if we can get one or two more guests on before we wrap up today. I know the IceDogs did make their 10th round selection, so I guess we might as well quickly go over that.
That's on me. Switch arrow.
There it is, Finn Moffitt, goaltender from the Oakville Rangers.
Goalie. So we were correct, and we predicted that.
Local kid.
Oh,
Southern Tier Admirals, okay. He's on his way? Okay.
All right, so we have a local pick here, and we have a goaltender. We mentioned that earlier in the show.
St. Catharines, Ontario.
Yeah, how the goaltending would look like at camp, and I can't wait to see this kid there. What do we have for stats there for Mr. How did Moffitt?
Moffitt. Finn Moffitt.
6 foot. I can't even see.
147 pounds.
Beautiful. But from St. Catharines, Ontario.
No local kid there. I know Bill Potters, BPSN's going to love that.
Yeah.
For Oakville, 2.39 goals against average in the regular season with them last year. So we'll get more analysis here as we go forward, but we're going to hit a break. IceDogs select Finn Moffitt, 10th round here in the OHL Priority Selection draft. So stay right here. We'll be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs.
Experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports and esports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive's game concept revolves around player props, which are simple over-unders on player stats. There are contests for traditional sports including the NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, and cricket, as well as esports titles including CSGO, Dota 2, League of Legends, and more coming soon. Here's how to play. Choose your lineup of over-unders for top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Each prop has a fantasy point total based on how likely it is to hit. The more points the selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points and win a share of the prize pool. Thrive is awarded over $2 million in cash, so come and prop up today.
Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Brandon Caputo back with you here. Kyle's just taking a quick break. He'll be back in a second. The IceDogs did make their 11th round pick official here, and it was a right defenseman, Benjamin Arnold, from the Hamilton Junior Bulldogs. So a right defenseman there. Currently in the middle of the 11th round right now. The IceDogs will still have a few more selections. We will be most likely wrapping up at some point, but we're trying to get a few more interviews for you guys before we wrap up here. Filtering in here near the end of the show. We'll see if we can get Director of Scouting Adam Henrich on the line before we wrap up today to discuss the draft. Niagara will pick again in the 12th round, 228th overall, and a pick that they acquired from the Mississauga Steelheads. Going over drafts over the years for the IceDogs in the 11th and 12th rounds. As we look to the past, still looking here. Mentioned Mason Howard was a late round pick. Somebody that was a key member of that IceDogs D-Corps for a lot of years. So, again, something to look forward to with these late round picks if they're able to develop into some sort of OHL players down the road for the IceDogs, or whether that be with another organization if they don't sign, things like that. So, Mason Howard, 10th round pick, 2017. The last late round pick of note to make the IceDogs roster. Lucas Littlejohn was actually a 12th round pick back in 2020. He obviously came up last year and played for the IceDogs a few years back now. As Kyle joins us back on the broadcast. Kyle, we've been here for, 3 hours.
Yeah, now it looks like it's trying to disconnect us, so we may have to wrap it up early and record some interviews offline because the Wi-Fi is giving us issue here.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that said, are we still on right now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. If we do get an interview with Adam Henrich, I'll record it offline, and then we'll post it on our show. Don't know when we're going to do another show, hopefully in the next little bit here. We did speak to Ryan Roobroeck and Ethan Zada, so maybe we will post those, clip stuff from these last couple of days and put it into an episode with all the great interviews that we've had over the last 2 days here. Been a lot of great content with a lot of great guests. Thank you to everybody who tuned in for both days and for all of our great guests who joined us for the over 6 hours of live coverage of the OHL Priority Selection Draft. And thank you for your patience during us taking some breaks throughout the shows and listening into some great insight and reacting to the IceDogs picks. So a couple rounds to go here for the Niagara IceDogs, but as far as our live coverage goes, this is going to wrap it up. Guys, make sure you're following the podcast on Twitter at Dog Pound Podcast. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and Facebook as well. And make sure to give us some love on this YouTube video if you guys have enjoyed the coverage. Hit the like, hit subscribe, smash that bell for all updates on YouTube videos that get released here on the network. For my co-host Kyle Leggett, my name is Brandon Caputo, signing off here live from the Meridian Centre here for the OHL Draft and the Niagara IceDogs selections here in the 2023 OHL Draft. Should be exciting time. And remember, until next time, bark, 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 go Dogs, go. And we'll talk to you guys again very soon.